Number 10. Guy Ritchie. Film director and Madonna's second ex-husband, Guy Ritchie, is a prominent relationship that she had throughout her career. The two met in the late 90s and they hit it off right away. The pair had a child in August of 2000 and were married not long after. He even ended up directing the music video that was so scandalous it was banned from MTV and VH1. The violent video, What It Feels Like for a Girl, featured shots of Madonna driving recklessly, robbing a guy at an ATM, and squirting police officers with a water gun. But things did not end well for the couple as they ultimately got divorced in 2008, and soon as it was publicly confirmed, the British tabloids had a field day when it came to pointing fingers about what went wrong in their relationship. There were rumors of Madonna having an affair with baseball star Alex Rodriguez, and the couple fought over adopting their son, David, from Malawi in 2006. And after that, the pop star was thrown from a horse on her 47th birthday, and she broke several bones. Guy basically abandoned her. Number 9. Puerto Rico. In 1993, Madonna was set to arrive in San Juan for a concert as a part of her girly show tour, but certain groups on the island were worried about Madonna's influence over the youth and demanded that the concert be cancelled. Even the Puerto Rican government agreed that the singer was a bad influence on the kids, but the concert went ahead. For all the controversy, the tickets sold out instantly, but on the evening of the concert, several religious groups started protesting by singing hymns around the fans. So how did Madonna respond? Well, in a show of defiance, she rubbed the Puerto Rican flag on her crotch, further outraging the government and the protesters. This incident really played into her image because at the time, the more dangerous she was, the more people were interested in her. Everything she did had repercussions. Still, the whole incident was very scandalous, so her new biopic will probably touch on everything that went down in Puerto Rico. Number 8. Condemned by the Pope. Madonna's 1989 video for Like a Prayer, which featured her dancing in front of burning crosses and doing a bunch of other things that were thought of as too risky for its time. The song was initially used in a differently themed Pepsi ad starring Madonna, and she got $5 million for the planned endorsement deal. But after the video garnered controversy, including condemnation from the Vatican, Pepsi cancelled its contract with the singer. Religious groups called for boycott of the song, and even Pope John Paul II spoke out against it. Quote, "The video is blasphemy and insult because it shows immorals inside a church. This would mark the start of Madonna's lifelong fight with the Vatican and her complicated relationship with Catholicism, which was only just beginning." But the way she responded to all this is what made her a true icon. She actually walked the red carpet the next day in a bright red dress carrying a Coke can, and Pepsi still let her keep that initial $5 million that she was going to be paid for the commercial. There's probably so much that went on behind the scenes of this stunt that we really need to find out. Number 7. Michael Jackson. Seeing the two massive icons in pictures together seems like a fever dream sometimes. Jackson and Madonna were reportedly briefly an item in the early 90s, and the Queen of Pop once revealed that she had the best date ever with Jackson. The entertainment industry is really quick to assume relationships between the world's biggest stars when they are seen together, but Madonna actually confirmed the two were a real item in a 1991 interview. She asked him if he would like to be her date to the Oscars, and he accepted. She followed it up by saying, quote, "And then, yes, he took me home. You wanna know what happened after that? I'm not gonna tell you." During a 2016 interview with James Corden on his carpool karaoke, Madonna revealed that she did enjoy a fling with Michael, but he was shy when they kissed, and she had to loosen him up with a glass of Chardonnay. But what happened during their tryst is something that she has avoided talking about for a really long time, so it's a very real possibility that she's finally ready to uncover exactly what happened between them. Number 6. Banned from the theater. This controversy is definitely one of the more recent ones that Madonna has been involved in, but it is nevertheless something that she might like to address in her biopic. She allegedly texted on her BlackBerry for the duration of a 2013 screening of 12 Years a Slave, resulting in her being banned from the Alamo Drafthouse theater chain. To make matters worse, when an audience member called her out on her behavior, she reportedly screamed, "It's for business," and called them an enslaver. Then in 2015, after she was caught texting from the front row of a performance of Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda personally banned Madonna from all future performances. Jonathan Groff, who played King George in the original run, spoke to Vulture about the incident. Quote, "That bee was on her phone. You couldn't miss it from the stage. It was a black void of the audience in front of us, and her face was there perfectly lit by the light of her iPhone through 3/4 of the show. You can't make this stuff up, it's just too bizarre." I mean, she's a queen, but she's always been really problematic.
At number 5, Prince. Even after his passing, fans have said that Madonna has disrespected Prince on multiple occasions, and that kind of warns fans as to what kind of person Madonna is behind the scenes. Let's talk about what started their feud first, and then we'll move on to the most recent incident that fans found unacceptable. Back in 1994, Madonna seemingly mocked the late Prince in an interview with the Los Angeles Times. She recalled the time when she and Prince were dining together, saying, quote, "I had dinner with Prince once and he was just sipping tea very daintily. I was stuffing food down my face and I was like, aren't you going to eat? And I thought, oh my god, I have this theory about people who don't eat. They annoy me. It's something about being in control." End quote. Fans thought that this comment was a little uncalled for, but not as uncalled for as when she called Prince a quote, little troll back in 1985 after they dated briefly. But by far the most offensive thing that fans have called Madonna out for in regards to Prince was her tribute to him at the Billboard Music Awards in 2016. A lot of people had a lot of negative things to say about her performance, but most of them couldn't get away from her drug-themed accessories, which included a purse that said dealer on it. Judging by the fact that substances is what led to Prince's death, that was pretty thoughtless. At number 4, Janet Jackson. If you really like someone, then you wouldn't want to talk badly about the people in said person's life, especially their family. But apparently Madonna didn't really think of that when she bashed Janet Jackson while she was out and about with Michael Jackson. According to Jermaine Jackson, in his book, he wrote about Michael and Madonna and how Madonna spoke ill about the Jackson sister and how rude she was about it. Jermaine elaborated on this, saying, quote, "I think Madonna sincerely adored Michael, but the feeling wasn't mutual and she committed 2 cardinal sins. The first was that she was hell-bent on loosening him up and getting him to see life through her eyes. The second mistake was when Michael went to dinner with her one night and Madonna had the temerity to criticize Janet. Michael was furious and not surprisingly they never went on another date." End quote. Like, what does that say about you if you criticize someone's sister like that? There was never any drama between them up until that moment, so no one really knows what provoked those comments from Madonna. Janet was clearly hurt but brushed it off, saying in an interview, quote, "I never said hate. Hate is a strong word, but if I did hate Madonna, I'd have valid reasons." End quote. On top of that, Madonna tried to pretend like she had no idea what Janet was talking about, which kind of makes things even more toxic. So yeah, in a way, we were warned about just how toxic Madonna can be. At number 3, David Letterman. It is an unspoken rule that when you're a guest on someone's show, you behave yourself. Not only because it's usually on live TV, but because it's just respectful to be kind and courteous of someone else's show and their job. But being the outspoken person that she is, Madonna threw all of that out the window when she was on David Letterman's show, and the host wasn't too thrilled about it. In 1994, Madonna made an appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman, and it went so far left that it circled right back around and kept going left, you know? While the singer was doing her guest appearance, she kept dropping F-bombs and making inappropriate remarks. She even gave Letterman a pair of her underwear and refused to leave the stage when her time was up. Her conduct was a little much and pretty uncalled for, but Madonna defended her actions, saying that her appearance was her way of protesting against censorship. While yes, she can do whatever she wants in protest, there's also a time and a place for that, and because she decided to pull this stunt on Letterman's show, she lost a lot of respect from the late night host, and he pretty much exposed her for her inappropriate behavior. At number 2, Michael Jackson. Now, we already talked about Janet Jackson and how her encounters with Madonna warned us about how rude she can be, but let's talk about how Michael Jackson also warned us about the same thing and how toxic and mildly controlling Madonna can be. Michael Jackson and Madonna briefly dated back in the day, but as you can imagine, it didn't really end well. The King of Pop referred to Madonna as, quote, "not a nice person" in a taped conversation with his spiritual advisor. He elaborated on why he felt like that, describing how controlling she was of their dates. Michael spoke out about it, saying, quote, "Madonna laid the law down to me before we went out. She said, 'I'm not going to Disneyland, okay? That's out.' I said, 'I didn't ask to go to Disneyland.' She said, 'We're going to the restaurant.' Afterwards, we're going to a strip bar. I said, 'I'm not going to a strip bar where they cross-dress. I'm not going there. If that's how it is, forget this whole thing.' Afterwards, she wrote some mean comments about me in the press. I wrote that she was a nasty witch after I was so kind to her." End quote. In a way, this warned us about how Madonna treats people, trying to control the situation, and when things don't go well, retaliating by saying mean things in the media. It's not a very mature way of handling things, and it's pretty toxic. And finally, at number 1, Arsenio Hall. Usually, when you strike a nerve with someone, the best thing you can do is just apologize and move on. Madonna, though, doesn't do that and instead lays into the comment she's made and just seems to make things worse. This is exactly what she did with Arsenio Hall while on his show, and it was both cringy to watch and also pretty mean. Madonna made an appearance on the show in 1990 and made a comment about Arsenio's ex Paula Abdul and her rumored rebound John Stamos. Madonna brought up the drama, but in a rude way. Arsenio laughed it off, but Madonna just kept going. She gave him a gold ring because she, quote, felt bad for him, and dug even deeper, saying that Paula left him because she, quote, wanted someone who was home more often. End quote. You could see how uncomfortable Arsenio was, and frankly, it was hard to watch. You can see the whole interview online, so if you want to watch the whole thing unfold, the internet is at your disposal, but it gives a really good idea of how rude Madonna can come across as being. In a way, this experience had Arsenio warning us about how Madonna can cross the line with her comments and how she will not take it back.
And number 10, wardrobe malfunction at the VMAs. At the very first MTV Video Music Awards in 1984, Madonna's stiletto slipped right off her foot during her performance of her song Like a Virgin. Instead of trying to fix it and put it back on, she turned the incident into a horror show. The singer would flip up her dress, and although the malfunction was accidental, her management team was convinced that the bride's flashing of flesh would spark enough outrage to ensure she would never work again. While she was trying to smooth the move like dive for the shoe and make it look like it was choreographed, it definitely backfired when her dress malfunctioned and she had a slip up. While many people were concerned Madonna's career was over before she even started her career, she would continue on, and with it came some more red flags, and we couldn't ignore them. And number 9, Like a Prayer video. Madonna is no stranger when it comes to controversy, as over the course of her long career, she has frequently pushed boundaries just to stay afloat. One of the biggest scandals involving Madonna is when the singer released her video for her song Like a Prayer back in 1989. Now, Like a Prayer was initially designed to push people's buttons, as Madonna witnesses a crime happen to a white woman by a group of white men. A black man would later intervene to help the woman, but instead he would be arrested for the crime. While Madonna hides in a church, she debates about whether she should come forward as a witness. Later, a statue of a saint in the church resembling the man arrested would come to life, and Madonna would kiss the saint and would begin dancing with the gospel choir in a field of burning crosses before eventually going to the police station to declare the man's innocence. At the time of the music video's release, religious groups were not happy, and Pepsi, who Madonna was actually a spokeswoman for at the time, would drop her from their ads. Hey Peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And number 8, the coffee table book. If you were in need of a coffee table book back in 1992, then Madonna's book was probably the excellent option for you. Madonna would work with fashion photographer Steven Meisel to produce a pretty controversial book filled with some pretty controversial photos that were shot in various locations such as the Chelsea Hotel. Retailing for around the time at $49.95, the spiral-bound 128-page book featuring Madonna's body and her views on intimacy would have the Vatican urging for its followers to boycott the book, and many bookstores would only put it on display behind the cash register and would only sell to customers who were the age of 18. Years later, her book has become a collector's item that has fetched hundreds of dollars on the resale market. Now, Madonna's book still remains one of the biggest pop culture statements, and it still comes off with a lot of controversy as people still want to know what was going through her head that led her to release it. And number 7, Justify My Love gets booted from MTV. If YouTube existed when Madonna released Justify My Love in 1990, the extremely NSFW music video would have gone viral in minutes, if not seconds. However, because Madonna chose to release such a controversial music video back in the 1990s, it would cause MTV to label the video as unfit for television. The video would then be released as the first ever single VHS format, and it would sell for just under $10. The video would soon become the most top-selling video of all time. The 5-minute video would feature a handful of fantasies and controversial themes, and when ABC Nightlife interviewed Madonna about the controversy, she said she knew the video didn't fit MTV guidelines,
but she thought the executives would just bend the rules for her. And number 6, the 20-minute rant on the late night show with David Letterman. Before Madonna became who she is today, she had an iconic potty mouth appearance on the late night show with David Letterman back in 1994. The superstar wandered onto the set looking like a love child and greeted David by calling him the man who has his finger on the pulse of total strangers. Madonna would then go on to swear in the interview, and it would quickly turn inappropriate when Letterman would go yell, "Go kiss a guy" in the audience. It was clear that the two had some beef prior to the interview, and before the show, Madonna had actually gifted him a pair of her undergarments. And during the interview, she continually asked him to give them a sniff, which was pretty disturbing. The interview was extremely bizarre, and before leaving, she would casually turn to David and say, "Incidentally, you are a sick F." Madonna managed to make him feel really uncomfortable, and her 20-minute long rant was hardly PG at all.
In the 2010s, we see a lot more of the same stuff. Although she's aged 10 years, you barely see it as she continues with the dermals and the facelifts. That being said, considering she's in her 50s around this time, I think she looks really good. Obviously, and here's a little rant incoming, we need to take into account that it is a surgically enhanced look, and no person at this age should expect to look like this without modifying their body in some way. I don't really want to take the angle of shaming someone for getting surgery to enhance how they look, because we've all got insecurities, and I can't imagine being in a spotlight where the way you look is such a large aspect of your career and how you're perceived by millions of people. But at the same time, we also want to tell normal people that this look is not possible naturally. It is not genetics. Of course she looks great, but don't hate yourself if you don't look like her. Anyway, sorry about that, but I do feel like being transparent on this angle here is a bit necessary to continue the video as ethically as possible. Now, in 2019, we start to see Madonna's appearance make headlines again. This time for her butt. Getting a Brazilian butt lift, Madonna is now sporting a much more voluptuous back end. Like I said, her natural figure is extremely lean and athletic, so it would be near impossible for her to attain a larger butt that is more popular these days. But Madonna definitely started to sport the stereotypical BBL look that we see on people like Kim Kardashian and Kylie Jenner. She's got very thin thighs and a perfectly rounded front figure in her thighs with no hip dips in sight. Almost every woman has natural hip dips, so it becomes really obvious when someone has a big butt and no dips, where the muscle in the thigh supports the butt. Madonna definitely went for a more trendy look this time, which honestly I think is closer to her brand. As the decades progress, we see her style become extremely trendy. She embodies each decade that she dominates with music. But as her music production slows, she continues to follow the trends of the decade with a BBL kind of personifying this. And now in the current decade of the 2020s, we see a lot more fat transfers to her face from other parts of her body. Her face is getting a lot puffier, which I guess is a way to attain a fuller looking face, which is something she battles as her genetics don't hold fat in a way that it would for other people who gain weight easier. It seems she also updated her cheek implants because her cheeks have become more pronounced than ever, but this time without the accompanying hollowness below her cheeks. With the combination of a fat transplant and cheek implants, her face looks extremely full and almost unnaturally youthful. She starts to look a bit otherworldly because after a certain point, and I mean she's in her 60s now, you can't really fight age and time. Her lips have also become a lot more exaggerated around this time, with a much more noticeable lip filler dominating her face. And now in early April 2022, Madonna posted a TikTok that shocked fans and viewers. The video's weird. It's just her getting close to the camera and then far away from the camera. But it's also weird in the way that her face looks insanely different. In my personal opinion, it looked like she took the video hot off the presses of the surgery table. Her face looks puffy, but in a swollen way. And likely we'll see her look much more normal as the swelling reduces in the future. Her eyes look almost completely closed and swollen, so it looks like she got more Botox on her forehead and cheeks, which would puff up the cheeks and make her eyes look really small. Jennifer Coolidge, one of my favorite actors and comedians, has this look as well due to consistent Botox and cheek implants. A lot of fans are a little sad about Madonna's constantly changing look. One person commented on the TikTok, quote, "I've loved Madonna since I was little. Huge fan, love her, but this is a hard pass. What has she done to herself?" I think it's a hard line to tread as someone gets older. I can't imagine how dissociative one must feel to continue shifting their face to seemingly desperately reverse aging. After some time, and we're starting to see it much more now, it just looks unnatural. She's already heavily photoshops her photos on social media, and I think it all obviously points to a very intense self-esteem issue. I just hope she finds the help she needs and maybe finds the courage to embrace her natural beauty a bit more. Anyway guys, that's all I've got for today. I've been your host Sierra. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Coming in at number 10, she's not the best actor. Madonna has completely dominated the music industry, but sadly that doesn't always translate to the silver screen. She's been in 19 films throughout the course of her career, but not all of them were shiners. Starring in the 1996 film adaptation of the musical Evita earned the singer a Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Musical or Comedy. But on the flip side, she's also won 9 Razzies. Razzies are the infamous antithesis of the Oscars for worst performances, and she won the dubious honor of Worst Actress of the Century in 2000. Rough play if you ask me. She's also turned down some pretty famous roles, including as one of the leading girls in Showgirls. While she's likely best known for acting and singing, she's also directed 2 feature films. One was in 2007 called Filth and Wisdom, the other in 2011 called W.E. Neither of these movies received the warmest of receptions from critics or audiences, and it was pretty universally panned as far as movies go. And at number 9, she suffers from brontophobia. Madonna reportedly has a massive phobia called brontophobia. Brontophobia is a fear of thunder and lightning. When she sees a storm coming, reportedly she closes all the blinds on windows and puts on giant headphones to drown out the sound of the thunder. At the end of the day, despite being one of the biggest pop stars the world has ever known, she's still very much human, with her own flaws and fears like the rest of us. Next up on the list is she dated John F. Kennedy Jr. While we all know of Madonna's infamous relationship over the years to people like Sean Penn, Vanilla Ice, Dennis Rodman, Lenny Kravitz, and Tupac, Madonna also dated the former president's son. Her disastrous marriage to Sean Penn is well recorded, and it's an open secret that it blew up due to accusations of infidelity, general chaos, and physical harm towards one another. Sean became known for his unpredictable outbursts and temper tantrums with a major jealous streak. He would often fly off the rails when he saw another man getting close to Madonna. That being said, following her messy divorce from Sean Penn, Madonna briefly dated John F. Kennedy Jr. for 6 months. In a memoir penned about the president's son that spends a bit of time delving into his romantic past, he's been linked to other celebrities like Darlie Hannah and Sarah Jessica Parker. But one of the least documented relationships he's been in was surprisingly with Madonna. Madonna was far from a big hit with the Kennedy family, with the pop star heavily leaning into the Marilyn Monroe imagery, can't imagine Jackie Kennedy being a big fan of that one, and the general disapproval of her religious iconography for fashion purposes. But the brief relationship absolutely did not last long, mostly because despite Madonna's recent past with Sean Penn, she actually found Kennedy to be much more frightening. Quote, whereas Sean would act out, perhaps give a photographer a body shot just to vent, somehow John's way seemed more personal. Madonna said that he would get up in her face, maybe an inch away, and scream at her at the top of his lungs when they were in a fight. I'm glad she left when she did. And at number 7, a bug was named after her. Listen, I know this one's out there and it's really not even a secret or something you try to hide. I just thought it was fun, so I'm putting it in. I wish the video was titled Top 10 Madonna Facts because this lady is interesting, alright? Sue me. But anyways, in 2006, scientists named a species of microscopic water-dwelling organisms, which is most commonly known as the water bear, after Madonna. The water bear's scientific name is, and bear with me, get it? Echinyscus madonnae. Don't quote me on that. It's also called a tardigrade, which is much easier. Although I'm sure it's because the researchers just loved Madonna's music, naming a bug after her is quite fitting, and I'd be proud to share a name with the water bear because it's basically invincible. Living for upwards of 120 years without food or water while withstanding harsh environmental conditions, these bugs are absolute tanks. For someone as resilient as Madonna, I'm sure she has some pride for her little bug, as both of them have managed to remain strong and consistent throughout their lives. Although it is weird that a water bug born on the same day as Madonna will outlive her by quite a few decades. Coming in at number 6, she kissed Drake at Coachella and it was so awkward. Okay, this one definitely isn't a secret considering how extensive the media coverage was, but I'm struggling here, so give me a break. At Coachella in 2015, Madonna appeared during a Drake performance where she danced around him while he was sitting in a chair. Then she went right up to him and basically stuck her tongue down his throat on stage for all to see. The shocked look on Drake's face afterwards definitely wasn't pleasant, and the non-consensuality of it all was definitely an extremely hot topic.
At number 5, we have Patti LuPone. After meeting Madonna, Patti was asked about what she thought about the movie the star was starring in. Patti then went on to describe Madonna as a movie bummer, as there's no lights behind her eyes when she's acting. Patti then went to say that Madonna can't act her way through a paper bag, before saying the pop star shouldn't be on stage or in a film. Now, Patti did say that the performer is amazing in her music career, however, she's not an actress. The actor then would shade Madonna years later after she said Madonna is Madonna, and I'll leave it at that. So it's not uncommon for actors to make a list of actors and performers they'll never want to work with or work with again. And if Patti really hated Madonna's performance as much as she said, you definitely won't see these two acting together anytime soon. At number 4, we have Mariah Carey. In 1996, Madonna would slam Mariah Carey, igniting a feud between the two stars. Madonna would say that Mariah's music wasn't art, and then later when MTV asked Mariah how she felt about Madonna's comment, the star would go on to say that she hasn't really paid attention to her since she was in 7th or 8th grade, when she used to be popular. Carey then noted that the star no longer was popular, and that's probably why she never heard anything about the star dissing her. During an interview in 1998, Mariah would double down on her comments when she was asked about her thoughts on Madonna, and she went on to say growing up she really liked her first album and said that the album was really popular. She then went on to say the pop star did good, however, several times throughout that interview, Mariah can be seen mocking Madonna by using a fake British accent. At number 3, we have Cher. Now, Cher and Madonna are two of the biggest names in pop music history, and although the two have such a great deal in common, they have a real love-hate relationship. In 1991, Cher was loud and clear about her opinion of Madonna while in an interview with CBS. Cher would highlight the star was straight up mean and rude, and that there was something she didn't like about her. The star said that she hung out with Madonna a couple of times and she was just rude to everybody, and the star acted like a spoiled brat all the time. Cher would also state that in an interview on a talk show, Wogan, that Madonna was unbelievably creative because she's not unbelievably talented. She also noted that the star was not beautiful and that she was rude. Although Cher has made it clear that she isn't fond of Madonna, she's also said that she does respect her as an artist. At number 2, we have Sandra Bernhard. In the early 90s, comedian Sandra and Madonna were actually best friends. They even appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman together. However, something would then later happen and the two would end their friendship. Now, Sandra and Madonna have never really opened up to what actually happened between them for their friendship to dissolve. However, that hasn't stopped Sandra from being vocal about her evolving distaste as a person. Sandra once said on .429 that the two used to be best friends, but they no longer speak anymore. The star then went on to say that she keeps her friends her whole life, but Madonna doesn't feel the same way. However, it has been said that the reason Madonna and Sandra fell out is because Madonna stole Sandra's girlfriend from her and the star felt betrayed. Now, if that is the case, Madonna broke girl codes, and I can see why Sandra would dislike her former best friend. That type of betrayal is just next level. At number 1, we have Drake. So remember when Madonna kissed Drake at Coachella, leaving us feeling queasy and uncomfortable? And what added more heat to the fire is when the cameras caught him looking shocked with a disgusted look. Now, Drake's horrified reaction to Madonna making out with him on stage would cause a media storm of allegations. Now, Drake finally did come out to reveal he actually enjoyed kissing the star by saying, "Don't misinterpret my shock. I got to make out with the Queen Madonna and I feel 100 about that, and forever thank you, Madonna." TMZ would then later report that Drake's reaction was due to an unpleasant taste of Madonna's lipstick rather than the kiss itself. However, none of us really bought that. And if this was the case, I'm sure these celebrities would still be collabing together, but since this incident, they haven't. So it really makes you wonder how Drake truly feels about Madonna.
At number 8, Mariah Carey. I can't say I will ever understand why people insist on putting others down. It doesn't help anyone out by being rude for no reason, and Madonna has been exposed for this on many occasions. Over the course of her career, we've seen Madonna say some rude things about other celebrities that are simply uncalled for, and though sometimes those celebrities don't respond to whatever hateful comment the singer made, others do, and they kind of expose Madonna for the rude things that she says and thinks about others. Back in 1996, Madonna was asked about what she thought of Mariah Carey, and what she said was far from nice. In the interview, the singer said that Mariah's music wasn't art, and she even went so far as to say if she had to perform Mariah's music, she would rather take her own life. Super harsh, right? Well, Mariah wasn't just going to let those hateful messages slide, and she clapped back in her own interview. When asked about the comments that Madonna had been making about her, Mariah said this.
I really haven't paid attention to Madonna since I was in like 7th or 8th grade when she used to be popular, so I didn't.
Mariah later doubled down on her clapback in 1998, commenting on Madonna's latest album at the time when she said, quote, "I haven't heard the new album. Growing up, I liked her first album a lot. That was really popular. Good for her." End quote. Though the extra clapbacks weren't necessarily called for, it kind of just showed fans that Madonna can be mean for no reason, and that's just not a cute quality to have. At number 7, Aaron and Sarah Foster. A lot of celebrities really love interacting with their fans. They're the ones who support their favorite celebrities the most, and without them, they wouldn't have the careers that they do. When fans approach a celebrity, a lot of times they're welcomed with open arms, so to speak, and get to have a nice interaction with them, but apparently not when it comes to Madonna. According to Aaron and Sarah Foster, the daughters of music producer David Foster, Madonna was less than welcoming to her young fans. The sisters told sources about how they got to meet Madonna after school once and how the singer completely brushed them off. Aaron told sources, quote, "I will never forget this. I tried to copy one of her outfits. I wore a blue satin button-up shirt because she wore that at one of the award shows. I tried to recreate the look so when she would see me she'd think, oh, you're really cool. She was not impressed. She was like, what are these kids doing here? She wanted nothing to do with us." End quote. In a way, this was a warning to any other fan that if they tried to interact with the singer, they are likely going to be brushed off in the same way. Before we continue talking about the celebrities who aren't too fond of Madonna, why not take a quick moment to leave a like on this video to show your support for the channel, and also consider subscribing as well to see more videos like this one. At number 6, Gwyneth Paltrow. In yet another installment of Madonna vs. Everybody, we have yet another celebrity beef that seemingly exposed Madonna's toxic side. Gwyneth Paltrow and Madonna were once BFFs, but apparently after the singer divorced Guy Ritchie, they had a falling out and things got toxic. At first, no one really knew what happened between them, but later on, more information started to come out and fans started to piece together this toxic picture. In an interview with Vogue, Gwyneth shared some information with the publication that hinted to the toxicity between the actress and the singer when she said, quote, "I can be mean, I can cave into gossip, I can ice people out, and I can definitely harbor revenge. In fact, I'm having a situation right now with a friend where I'm feeling pretty angry, but revenge is corrosive, it doesn't make me feel good." End quote. Later on, she referenced Madonna and her personal trainer, saying, quote, "It's good that Tracy Anderson doesn't train Madonna anymore. It was too much. She keeps people waiting, it takes up your whole day." End quote. More information came up as well when a source close to the actress told sources about what things were like between Madonna and Gwen, revealing that this falling out really started happening when Madonna started mistreating Gwen, saying, quote, "Madonna would on her over and over." End quote. Sounds like quite the toxic situation.
Number 5, David Letterman. All celebrities have had their moments on live television, and Madonna has quite a few herself, but this one really takes the cake and deserves a place in her new film. On The Late Show with David Letterman, Madonna made one of the most memorable appearances on a talk show that made television history for how scandalous it was. The pop star came out ready to shock the world, cigar in hand and filter completely gone. David Letterman isn't easily phased, but in 1994, Madonna managed to make him just the slightest bit uncomfortable. A minute into her appearance on The Late Show, the host began teasing Madonna about her sex life, saying, quote, "Kiss a guy in the audience," and she responded by calling him a sick F. before launching into a 20-minute long rant that was hardly PG. In fact, she said the F word a total of 14 times. And yes, there was even a moment where she told Letterman to smell her underwear. It wasn't until 1996 that she revealed why she behaved that way. Quote, "The way he introduced me was derogatory. So my whole thing was like, okay, if that's how you want to play it, you cannot beat me at this game." Well, it's safe to say that she certainly did. Number 4, the infamous kiss. Anyone who didn't live under a rock knows where they were the night that Madonna shared her infamous onstage kiss with Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, live at the 2003 VMAs. It was perhaps one of the most famous moments of controversy, and Madonna's second major unscripted moment at the MTV VMAs. She performed like a virgin in front of a wedding chapel on stage, where she then kissed Britney Spears full on the mouth, and then Christina Aguilera right after that. The camera then cuts to Justin Timberlake's stern expression, which is hilarious because he was dating Britney at the time. The double kiss made it one of Madonna's most notorious performances of all time, and it's clear that she's been pushing the envelope when it comes to displaying her sexuality. It's just another reason she's been able to maintain her icon status for so long. Interestingly enough, in an interview about the VMAs several years later, she actually said that she wouldn't kiss Britney again. So it begs the question, what really happened between the two of them? Number 3, Sean Penn. The violent nature of Madonna and Sean Penn's relationship was something that has mostly been speculation over the years. They first met on the set of Material Girl in 1985. Both of them had just gotten out of relationships and started off as friends. However, their platonic relationship quickly blossomed into a romantic one, and by August of 1985, the two tied the knot on Madonna's 27th birthday. Their relationship started off good, but things quickly got rocky due to Penn's unpredictable outbursts and temper. The actor was said to have a major jealous streak and would fly into fits of rage whenever he saw what looked like Madonna getting close to other men. Eventually, Madonna decided that she had had enough, and she filed for divorce in December of 1987, later withdrawing the papers before filing again in January of 1989. It has been rumored that the singer suffered many years of verbal and physical violence from Penn, and that was the main reason for their divorce. But from what we know, it seems like the relationship was a traumatic one for Madonna, and the truth of it might need to be exposed in her biopic. Number 2, banned by MTV. The network just couldn't handle Madonna's Justify My Love music video, which included a racy group love scene with her then boyfriend Tony Ward and several other young men and women. But Madonna was not just talented on the microphone, she was also very business savvy, and since MTV banned the video, she went on to release it as a VHS single, which was the first song ever to be released in that format. She knew that people would pay to see something that was too scandalous for mainstream TV, and boy was she right. The video went platinum 4 times over and sold more than 1 million copies. But it wasn't just about making money for her. When asked about the video in an interview on Nightline, she said, quote, "If we're going to have censorship, let's not be hypocrites about it. Let's not have double standards. We already have these videos that display degradation to women and violence that are played 24 hours a day, but yet they don't want a video playing that deals with sex between 2 consenting adults?" That was so well said, it just goes to show you how ahead of her time she really was. And number 1, Tupac Shakur. Not many people know that Madonna and Tupac were in a secret romantic relationship. Yes, that's right, 2 of the biggest names in music history actually had a brief romance going on in the 90s. So we definitely do not think that this could be left out of the Madonna biopic. It all started when their paths crossed in the mid-90s and they were instantly drawn to each other. But the societal constraints of the time made it nearly impossible for them to break through the noise and explore their love for each other. The pop star had been famously tight-lipped about their romance and only confirmed it in March of 2015 that she and the rapper had been an item shortly before his death. But in July of 2017, a letter Tupac wrote to Madonna while at the Clinton Correctional Facility was put on auction and sold for more than $170,000. The letter dated all the way back to 1995 and delves into the factors behind their breakup and Tupac's innermost feelings about her. The whole thing reads like a Romeo and Juliet story in which star-crossed lovers have been torn apart due to political tensions, and not just as a result of their own decisions.
To how Madonna's looks have changed over the years, both style-wise and surgery-wise. 1970s. Taken from photos in her yearbook, it appears that Madonna went through high school with thinly plucked eyebrows and natural looking makeup. Her hair is also its natural color, which was a dirty blonde kind of brunette. In 1978, she took some acting headshots where she was again sporting minimal makeup yet with crimped hair. Her eyes have always been Betty Davis-esque, where they are striking and sharp. Then, as Madonna's fame starts to soar, her style begins pivoting from natural and relatively minimal to an edgier, more punky look. In 1979, she chopped her hair off and sported a slick pixie cut. Now living in Manhattan, she rocked heavy lipstick and artfully applied shadows to enunciate her eyes. Once we entered the 1980s, Madonna has become a mega superstar. She introduced the world to the Manhattan club scene. She released her self-titled debut album in this decade and began cultivating an edgy, fun aesthetic. She over-glamorized with poppy colors in her makeup and clothing. She was quintessential 80s. At this point, she also hasn't gotten any plastic surgery done because she's so young. I doubt she would really feel the need to, especially because of how naturally beautiful she is. She became known for her bright red lipstick and smoky eye, which is now considered a classic look in part due to Madonna's consistent use of it. In 1985, she also did the infamous Like a Virgin and would embody that role for quite some time. She became the soiled virgin during this era, a woman in a wedding dress with blood pouring out of her abdomen. Her looks during the 80s are more synonymous with how people view Madonna as a whole during her height. Her look was purely DIY and almost eclectic, with each individual accessory being a loud statement piece on its own. That being said, Madonna did have some cosmetic surgery during this time, but it was done to her teeth. She got a few crowns in her teeth and evened them out to seem more appealing. As we enter more into the 1990s and Madonna exits the youth and natural beauty she had been so accustomed to, we start to see much less of a fashion shift and much more of a physical form shift. She sticks to her bold lipstick and smoky eye and often chooses eclectic outfits over something more traditional. But we also start to notice lip fillers, and her face begins to shift in a way that seems like an attempt to fight the natural progress of age. In the late 90s too, it became apparent that Madonna started on a Botox regime to keep her cheeks full and prevent sagging. Although none of this is confirmed, it's hard not to see. When she smiles, there's very little expression lines as opposed to her younger self, who showcases her smile with lines on the sides of her lips. Her eyes also look more frozen and less expressive. As we enter into the 2000s, we see both a massive style shift and a physical form shift as well. Her style becomes much more classic. She begins wearing dark, sleek outfits and minimal makeup. It almost appears to be an ode to her younger self as she transitions into a more middle-aged woman and away from her youthful exuberance in the 80s fashion and club scene. In 2003 specifically, it also looks like she got her first facelift. This is different from the usual Botox in the sense that it's not really injections. Rather, Madonna would have had surgically, physically gotten her face lifted. The surgery is super painful and hard to do, but now Madonna's entire look has changed, with not a wrinkle on her forehead and wrinkles practically gone everywhere else. The widening of the temple to move back her hairline, coupled with wrinkling at the ears, point to a scar along her hairline. The public is starting to catch on now too, as now there's tons of tabloids about Madonna's face and how she looks so different from how she looked before. We see an eyelid surgery that got rid of the sagging on her eye folds and reduced puffiness under her eyes. Also during this time, we see the first non-subtle facial surgery. Her cheeks are noticeably much more pronounced in a way that only a cheek implant could produce. Her cheek hollows are also very pronounced. Because Madonna has always been extremely lean and muscular, it would make sense that she would attempt to get implants, seeing as those who have much leaner frames tend to age faster because there's less fat behind the skin, so it appears less full. As time goes on though, sadly her face becomes more and more full. It starts to change the features that people see most. Before, Madonna's eyes were the star of the show. Her eyes are stunning. But as the fillers and fat transplants become more common, we start to see that her cheeks and her skin become more and more attention-grabbing. It happens a lot with dermal fillers. If people continue to use dermal fillers, as they get older they just put more on top of the old fillers, and that can lead to a larger looking face.
And number 5, kisses Britney and Christina at the VMAs. 19 years after Madonna's iconic performance of Like a Virgin at the VMAs, she would take the stage again in 2003, but this time there were 3 brides joining Madonna for a rendition of the track, Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. Both superstars were trying to break out of their teen idol boxes by proving how they weren't so innocent as they appeared. Madonna, on the other hand, would keep up her tradition of shocking everyone at the VMAs when she decided to help Britney and Christina break their innocent looks. Madonna would go on to give them both the kiss, but made sure to give Britney one steamy one. While Madonna and Britney's kiss received a lot of media attention that they no doubt hoped for, Christina and Madonna's kiss was completely ignored, mainly because when it took place on the cameras, they quickly cut to Justin Timberlake to capture his awkward reaction. Years later, Christina would say the whole thing was just weird. At 4, mounts herself on a cross. Madonna can't seem to get away from using religious imagery during her concerts and music videos, and you think because the star has received so much backlash over the years that she would just stop and leave it alone. During her Confessions tour in 2006, Madonna took her already criticized religious symbolism to the next level when she performed on a cross while singing live to Tell Additionally. As expected, Madonna's performance would draw huge backlash from religious leaders. Later, she would come out to try to apologize for her actions by saying, "My confession follows and takes place on a crucifix that I ultimately come down from. This is not a mocking of the church." However, this was definitely clear she was mocking the church because she continues to do controversial things to religious imagery, and it just isn't right. 3. Kisses Drake at Coachella. Madonna clearly has a thing for making out with fellow performers on stage, even if that performer is not even half her age. When Madonna chose to live her best life and decided to make out with Drake during their Coachella performance, Drake did not appear happy about Madonna's prolonged smooch on stage, and his overall reaction to the kiss has gone down in our brains as such a hilarious moment. Drake would later head to his Instagram to clarify his reaction by saying, "Don't misinterpret my shock. I got to make out with Queen Madonna and I feel 100% about that forever. Thank you, Madonna." However, his sour face after the encounter says otherwise, and he definitely did not enjoy that kiss whatsoever. And number 2, makes headlines in Puerto Rico. On October 26, 1993, Madonna would soon make headlines after she performed in Puerto Rico and caused a huge stir among the people living there. While performing, Madonna would do the unthinkable, and she decided to take the Puerto Rican flag and rub it in between her legs in front of 26,000 fans. Soon after, protest and criticism against the star would start to rise due to her disrespectful behavior, and then the Puerto Rican House Representatives would then make the decision to charge Madonna with desecration of the flag and would pass a resolution to condemn her. I don't really know what was going through Madonna's head at the time for her even to think this was a good idea, but it was seriously disturbing. So how do you feel about this situation? And let me know in the comments below. And number 1 today, we have claimed she's the master. Madonna has proven to all of us that she's a pro when it comes to Photoshop. When Madonna took it upon herself to Photoshop herself into Beyonce's and Jay-Z's video to replace CR on the walls with her album cover, she would caption the photo at the time as "learning from the master," which pretty much said that Jay-Z and Beyonce were learning from her because she was the master. Now, she was definitely trying to poke fun about her 4 decades in the industry. However, when the post met some major controversy, Madonna would then have a change of heart, and then she would delete the word master and would just have learning ... LOL. But she still got the message she was trying to say across, but I wouldn't exactly say Madonna was the master they were learning from, because it's more like she's learning from them at this point. At number 10, we have David Letterman. When Madonna appeared on the Late Night Show with David in 1994, the star was so obnoxious she showed that she had a lack of sensitivity for intelligence throughout the show. Madonna would go on to say the F word around 14 times. The star's language and overall behavior even resulted to the point where she had to be asked to even leave the stage. However, instead of leaving, she would then give David a pair of her undergarments, and then she would refuse to leave the stage. The star then would later claim that her disastrous behavior and appearance was a way of her protesting against television censorship. I can definitely understand why David was so uncomfortable with the situation, and I don't blame him for never wanting to work with the pop star again. At number 9, we have Mark Wahlberg. Madonna almost once cost Mark his breakthrough role. In the early 90s, Mark was just coming off of his rap career, and he started to pursue a career in film. However, before getting his breakthrough role in the film Renaissance Man, Mark ran into some trouble when he got into an altercation with people who were very well connected to Madonna. When the altercation broke out, Mark noted that Madonna would go on to call the cops, and she continued to tell everybody stories about the event and what Mark was doing. Now, Mark claimed Madonna's claims were not true, and luckily Mark's film producer, Penny Marshall, would continue to support him. Mark explained when he got the call from the producer asking what he did, and how she ultimately decided to give him the role despite the rumors. I mean, sometimes it's better just to keep yourself out of other celebrities' feuds, but this pop icon is never shy to stick her nose into somewhere she shouldn't be sticking it. So it makes sense why Mark would want to stay as far away from Madonna as possible. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Elton John. In 2002, when Madonna released her song Die Another Day, it ultimately became the theme song for the James Bond movie. However, Elton John would later come out to say it was the worst theme song for a Bond movie, and that was just the beginning to their brawl, as this feud was destined to go on for years. Now, Elton would add fuel to the fire by criticizing Madonna for being nominated Best Live Act. Elton would go on to say that Madonna lip syncs in public shows, and anybody who doesn't perform live should just be punished. And Elton wouldn't stop there. He once took things further in an interview with Channel 7 Australia when he said Madonna's tour was a complete disaster, and that after he watched it, he even questioned the stars' common sense. The stars would later end their feud, and Elton's partner would come out to say that they didn't believe in bringing negativity into the world, and that they were both embarrassed about everything they ever said about Madonna. At number 7, we have Lady Gaga. So the feud between Lady Gaga and Madonna started back in 2011 when Gaga released Born This Way. Now, Madonna immediately drew comparisons from her song Express Yourself. In an interview with ABC News, Madonna would go on to say that Gaga referenced her a lot in her work, and she found it amusing and flattering. Lady Gaga, however, would come out to say, if you put the songs next to each other side by side, the only similarities are the chord progression. It's the same one that's been used in disco music for the last 50 years. The star then went on to say just because she's the first artist in 25 years to put it in the top 40 radio doesn't mean she's a plagiarist. Now, these two pop divas are definitely iconic in their own ways, but whose team are you on? Team Madonna or Team Lady Gaga? Personally, I'm more of a Lady Gaga fan myself. At number 6, we have Janet Jackson. Now, Janet and Madonna are both major celebrities that haven't always said nice things about each other. Janet's and Madonna's beef allegedly all started when Madonna attempted to date Janet's brother Michael in the early 90s. In the book You Are Not Alone, Michael, Through a Brother's Eye, Michael's brother wrote that he sincerely thought Madonna adored Michael. However, the feeling wasn't mutual. When out for dinner one night, Madonna made a terrible mistake when she decided to criticize Janet. Michael was ultimately left feeling furious and never went on another date with the pop star ever again. In 1994, Janet told Vibe that she could never hate Madonna, as hate is a strong word. However, the pop star dissed her, and she was mystified by it, considering the two never met in person. The feud would then become a classic example that if you have nothing to say, don't say it at all, because you never know when someone's family member might tell them what you said about them while you were enjoying a bite to eat.
Coming in at number 5, Madonna reminded Beyonce and Jay-Z that she is the master. Again, also not a secret because people ran with it, but Madonna has posted a Photoshop picture of Jay-Z and Beyonce gazing at photos of Madonna's album. She captioned it, quote, "Learning from the master." People were pissed that a white woman used the term master to show her superiority over two black individuals. In response, Madonna didn't delete the post, but she did edit the word master out of it so it just said learning instead. I guess that works too. Coming in at number 4, she didn't actually move to New York City with only $35. Okay, so this one may be a bit disputed, but there may not be tons of truth to the infamous up-and-coming Madonna story. The legend is that Madonna left her small rural town where she lived with her 5 other siblings and traveled to one of the most expensive cities in the world, New York. Apparently, she also only had $35 in her pocket and used that money to claw her way up to fame. It is a true rags to riches story about using pure willpower and drive to become one of the greatest stars of all time. But it may not even be true. In fact, Madonna's own brother disputes this story. He stated that, in fact, she had a few $100s in her pocket given to her by family to help her start out, and she had some connections and contracts underway to immediately start as a backup dancer once she landed in the city. While it's still an extremely impressive feat to go from pure normalcy with little money to just how big Madonna is, the story of her only having $35 may be a case of broken telephone, and people deliberately stretching the truth to make it seem even more impossible than it already was. Coming in at number 3, Madonna doesn't like being a material girl. One little known fact about Madonna is that she has remarked that she regrets ever recording the track that would become her moniker, Material Girl. It is one of her most famous songs and became the nickname that she is most often represented by. Similarly, she also doesn't feel like she wants to be associated with a song like a Virgin either. Quote, "I like them both because they were iconic and provocative at the time, but also they're so unlike me. I am not a materialistic person, and I certainly wasn't a virgin. And by the way, how can you be like a virgin? I like the play on words. I thought they were clever. They're so geeky, they're cool." She also said that she never expected Material Girl to become as big of a hit as it was. Quote, "I've never been a good judge of what things are going to be huge or not. I'm resourceful, and if I ended up in a log cabin in the middle of the forest, that would work too. These things are not mandatory for my happiness. That's what I meant by I'm not a materialistic person." Coming in at number 2, Madonna and Prince wanted to make a musical together. In a 1989 interview with Madonna, she was asked who her musical aspirations are, and she named Prince as a vocalist that she admired. She then discussed her collaboration called Love Song. Quote, "We'd been friends for years and admire each other's work, so we'd always talked about getting together to write. And in fact, there was a moment last year where we were possibly going to write a musical together. I went to a studio in Minnesota and worked on some stuff just to get a feel of what it would be like to collaborate." She then stated that her and Prince had a lot of difficulty creating a completed track. After she worked with him consistently for a few days, she left the studio. She no longer had any interest in writing a musical with him. Then, a while later, Prince approached Madonna with a demo that she enjoyed, but they ended up having to write the full track together long distance because Prince lived in Minneapolis and Madonna hated Minneapolis. The track, Love Song, did not chart the Billboard Hot 100. And finally at number 1, Madonna regrets posing naked for her book. While this article was posted quite a few years ago when Madonna was 49 years old, and she's 63 now, Madonna has stated that she seriously regrets posing naked so often in her youth. In her 1992 book, Sex, she believes that the reception of it was less about the beauty of the female form and expressing sexuality, and more so about how people branded her as an exhibitionist. She admitted that, at one point, she was much less adventurous, branding herself as prude. Quote, "I really was not getting up to much. I don't think I was as naughty as I could have been. I was quite straight. I was a geek when I was young. I did not really do much that was interesting." I think from what I got from this interview, it was less about the actual posing naked that she regrets, but more so about the public's reception about the book. It branded her as loose rather than expressing beauty through art.
Coming at number 10 today, we have Judd Apatow. Just a month after Jared Carmichael used the Golden Globe stage to mock Tom Cruise for his involvement in the Church of Scientology, Judd got in a few similar jabs while emceeing the Directors Guild of America Awards on February 18th. Judd's jokes began with the topic of Tom's height when he said the special effects in Maverick were so top-notch, I couldn't even see the stack of phone books Tom Cruise sat on to reach the flight controls. Things then took a quick turn when Judd called Tom Cruise a lunatic while reforming to Tom's infamous jumping on the couch segment when he sat down for an interview with Oprah. Before he dove into the juiciest part of his speech when he said, "Tom is not fine. Someone needs to explain to him that there's something called CGI. You're 60, calm down." But every time he does one of these few stunts, it does feel like an ad for Scientology. I mean, is that in the Dianetics? Because there's nothing about jumping off a cliff in the Torah. Judd still wasn't done roasting Tom as he ended his roast with suggesting that Tom wouldn't be jumping off cliffs if he just took antidepressants. Number 9, Brad Pitt. It's not really breaking news when I say Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise aren't exactly fond of each other, as they have been in a very public feud that has been going on for the last 27 years. The two actors who shared the screen in the 1994 film Interview with a Vampire, their differences became evident when Brad said in an interview, "He bugged me. There came a point during filming where I started to really resent him. He's North Pole, I'm South." And if you thought things couldn't get any worse, then Brad even had some harsh words to say about Tom's movies, as in 2009 when both actors starred in World War II dramas. While Brad's film did very well in the box office, Tom couldn't quite achieve the same feature. Brad didn't also shy away from celebrating his arch rival's bitter failure by calling Tom's film a ridiculous movie. So it seems like from the looks of it that it wouldn't really be a stretch to say that the two actors are highly unlikely to be a part of the same project in the future, especially since Brad has this list and Tom Cruise is on his B list, which compiles of a bunch of actors he'll never work with. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming number 8, we have Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber's feud with Tom Cruise is actually really confusing, as it seems like the feud is somewhat one-sided. Back in 2019, Justin would take to his Twitter to challenge Tom to a physical battle after he declared that he wanted to challenge Tom Cruise fight in the octagon. When he said, "Tom, if you don't take this fight, you're scared and you will never live it down. Who's willing to put on the fight?" And if that wasn't bizarre enough, Justin then posted a video of him kicking the cap off of a bottle, saying this could be Tom Cruise's head. While the world was trying to figure out this confusing post, we all then decided to start an investigation into what caused Justin's aggression towards Tom. But whether it was due to religion, personal reasons, or just a grab for attention, it was clear that Justin really wasn't fond of Tom Cruise. And even after he told TMZ he was just playing when it came to his initial tweet, it really makes you wonder if he really was, or does he actually want to challenge Tom in the ring. Number 7, Katie Holmes. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes once made headline after headline for being one of Hollywood's most gorgeous and talked about couples. Their relationship had it all, and at one point they even had a dramatic public declaration of love. And they even showed the world that they just couldn't keep their hands off each other when it came to the red carpet. However, too many fans and media houses were disappointed that the duo filed for divorce just 6 years after being married. While the real reason behind their split is nothing but speculation, it is believed that Tom's horrible treatment of his ex-wife and even their daughter and his involvement with the Church of Scientology is what pushed Katie to get out of the marriage. This claim can even be cemented by reports that claim Tom even tried to impose bizarre rules on Katie, like how she shouldn't be allowed to date another man publicly for 5 years so it wouldn't embarrass him. Given such a hostile and messy end to a long-term relationship, it is a no-brainer that these two stars won't be appearing together on the screen, not now and perhaps not ever. Number 6, John Travolta. John Travolta and Tom Cruise seem to have a lot in common, and it's not just their field of work, as they are both strong believers when it comes to their participation in the Church of Scientology. However, this common link has become the cause of a bitter rift between the two actors, as inside sources believe that John is immensely jealous of Tom's position within the Church of Scientology, and at the fact that Tom is also one of very few members of the religion who has access to David Miscavige. When it comes access to the chief of Scientology, David. Brendan Ty, a former member of the church, once even told The New Idea that Tom was the only celebrity that had a direct link to David, and that it wasn't really a secret that Tom and John despised each other. For an industry that's well known for rivalries to stem from jealousy over snub movie roles and scandalous affairs, Tom and John's feud is definitely an interesting addition. With their strong dislike for each other making headlines, it's easy to guess that these two Scientologists would likely keep as far away from each other as possible. Number 5, Jason Alexander. Jason Alexander became a household name thanks to his iconic role as a quirky, down-on-his-luck New Yorker in the trailblazing sitcom Seinfeld. But before he was a sitcom star, he was offered a role in the 1992 legal drama A Few Good Men. It all happened in 1990 when director Rob Reiner was assembling his class, and according to actor Kevin Pollak, in an interview with Vanity Fair in 2017, he would state his role was actually intended for Jason in the first place, but he turned down the role for Seinfeld because it got renewed, so Kevin went on to snag the role in the film A Few Good Men and work alongside Tom Cruise. Jason knew better off to stick with the role, but he did curse Kevin for earning 4 Academy Award nominations, and he's still waiting for Kevin to quit a job for him to say thank you. Number 4, Dennis Rodman. So you wouldn't expect basketball star Dennis Rodman being offered a role in a Tom Cruise film, but at the height of his fame when he was playing alongside NBA legend Michael Jordan for the Chicago Bulls, he attempted to make a big-time Hollywood career in the process, where he actually starred in a few major films that included Double Team and Simon Says, but neither of these films brought him the type of fame he was hoping for. But it all could have gone down a really different path if he didn't turn down an offer to star opposite to Tom Cruise in the 1996 sport comedy Jerry Maguire. In the film, Tom would play a sports agent who starts his own firm, struggling to survive with one of the complicated superstar clients, Rod Tidwell, who was played by Cuba Gooding Jr., but originally this character was supposed to be played by Dennis, and he turned down the role. While it's still unknown to why Dennis really turned down the role, many have thought it was because there might have been some scheduling conflict with his NBA duties, but the role actually allowed Cuba Gooding Jr. to win an Oscar, so maybe Dennis just should have taken the role.
Number 3, Converter. Devoting one's life to a faith created by a science fiction writer is all well and good, but trying to talk your fellow celebs into doing the same thing, that's annoying. I'm sure someone out there is still trying to get signatures for their Church of Lovecraft petition, but we don't have to get into that. Former high-ranking Scientologist Gary Moorhead, great last name by the way, told the Daily Mail that Cruise had an unhealthy obsession with soccer superstar David Beckham and viewed him as the ideal candidate for conversion. Sadly for Tom, that never actually happened, but it wasn't for lack of trying though. According to Gary, in an attempt to lure Beckham into Scientology headquarters, Cruise ordered Sea Org, which is the short form for Scientology organization members, to create a full-size soccer stadium. That's right, he built a stadium like the old nerdy guy in Benchwarmers. Hey, guess what? Beckham didn't show up. After he said he'd come check the place out, himself and his wife decided to ditch the event and chose to ghost protocol his butt. Number 2, Bad Dad. Cruise has 3 children, Isabella and Connor, who were adopted during his marriage to Nicole Kidman, and Suri, who he fathered with Katie Holmes before they split up. The first sign of Cruise being a bad dad came in 2015 when he missed his eldest daughter's wedding, despite her being heavily involved in the church, going so far as to have a Scientology-themed wedding. While Bella does keep in contact with her father, the same cannot be said for Tom's other kids. According to a June 2016 report from In Touch, Cruise hasn't had contact with Suri in years. According to insiders, this is simply due to his wanting to distance himself from his ex Katie, and unfortunately by association, his daughter. Tom's heavy involvement in the Scientology community has caused him to neglect anyone who is either against or disagrees with his ideas. While being dedicated to one's faith is nothing to make fun of, this man deserves a bad dad mug as soon as possible. And number 1, people love to hate the guy. Let's face it, when a celebrity messes up or does something crazy, everyone jumps on the media bandwagon. We as a society famously love to watch the elites crumble, as it's a fun time for all of us normies. Unfortunately for Tom, that bandwagon will never be empty, and Tom himself continues to give us cause for concern. It's 2023, and this man is still regularly freaking out on set, controlling the women in his relationship, and being a chaotic bad everywhere he goes. Despite his questionable beliefs and erratic outbursts, Cruise still remains in high demand. To this day, he is still one of Hollywood's leading men despite the public reputation and gossip that has followed him through his entire career. It only makes sense that a man who can get away with so much is seen as a pariah by his fellow celebrities and fans. He continues to regularly release blockbusters, and while some have failed to recoup their huge budgets, for instance, Tom is single-handedly responsible for ruining the Warner Brothers Monsterverse. Not only did he mess with the script for the production of The Mummy, he also changed shooting locations, themes, and entire characters, simply because he was the producer and he could do it. Hey man, next time just give Tom some crayons and a pad and let him loose, alright? Put him in the corner, just ignore him.
At number 10, we have Justin Bieber. Tom Cruise's train of haters doesn't just end with A-list Hollywood actors and actresses. Apparently, Justin Bieber is one of them as well, or is he? Justin and Tom's history doesn't go that far back, as their interaction or lack thereof was so random. Literally, no one saw it coming. A few years ago, Justin tweeted out to his fans about wanting to fight Tom. Fans were understandably confused because where was this coming from? One fan asked, "Why Tom Cruise of all people?" And another said, "Did I miss something?" Both very valid points, as there had been no exchange between the two that would explain why Justin would want to fight Tom. A year later, the singer explained the intention behind his tweet, and it's anticlimactic as it comes. In an interview, he said, "I don't know, I was just being stupid to be honest." So no, he doesn't actually want to fight Tom, and there doesn't seem to be any real bad blood between them. He also admitted that it was just a random tweet, which he claims to do often. He had seen one of Tom's interviews at the time. It honestly could have been any celebrity, but that day it just happened to be Tom. At number 9, we have Kate Middleton and Prince William. Tom was at the premiere for the sequel Top Gun Maverick. This was a royal charity premiere event, so Prince William and Kate were attending the premiere as well. Sounds random if you ask me, but I don't know how these things work, so what do I know? Once the royal couple made it to the carpet, they were greeted by Tom as well as some other staff crew. But Tom took it upon himself to escort them personally. I don't know if it was to suck up to them both for the press or he valued them that much, but it could easily be both. It's not every day a member of the royal family would partake in such an event, never mind two. Videos at the premiere showed him offer his hand to Kate, and viewers praised Tom for being a gentleman. But others believe that Kate and Prince William were actually uncomfortable with it. One fan pointed out that Kate had held her clutch in her other hand to avoid taking Tom's hand again. One other person commented how she apparently looked mortified and that the royals aren't to be touched, even by a wildly successful actor like Tom himself. They also claimed how Kate is a conservative woman, so holding hands with just about anyone is already a no-no, but she had done it in the spur of the moment as to not create a scene. At number 8, we have Trey Parker and Matt Stone. When it comes to South Park and its jokes, it usually treads against dark humor waters, as many adult comedy shows are. If you're a big name, chances are they've probably joked about you at least once. And Tom Cruise was not an exception, whom the writers later found themselves in a potential legal battle with. Back in 2005, there were talks of the actor suing Trey Parker and Matt Stone for defamation after they insinuated something about him on their show. The joke in question was Tom's character inside a closet with an animated version of his ex, Nicole Kidman, urging him to come out of said closet. The writers were implying his sexuality, which he didn't like. Now, for a case like defamation, you think that they were out to literally defame his name and character. It became such an issue, the episode that came after had a disclaimer that read, "All characters and events on this show, even those based on real persons, are entirely fictional." It remains unclear if Tom ended up going through with this case or not, but at the time, rumors regarding his sexuality was talked about a lot in Hollywood, and it wasn't the first time someone was warned of being sued by the actor for these claims. At number 7, we have Kate Ceberano. Lots of people thought that he and Australian singer Kate Ceberano were close buddies when it was revealed she is also a member of the Scientology church. And if you didn't know, Tom Cruise is known for two things: being an actor and being an active member of Scientology. So everyone thought the two were at least in similar social circles until the singer shut them down. They are in fact not friends, as she further described the rumor that it's like assuming every Catholic person was friends with the Pope. And that's actually a valid point too. Scientology has quite the following, but that doesn't mean everyone knows each other. That's literally impossible. In 2009, when Tom was still with Kate, they were seen going to Australia, which is when the beliefs started going around. When asked if she met up with the stars, she said no and that she doesn't even know them. She rarely ever mentions her Scientology beliefs and doesn't like how often she's associated with Tom just because of it. She also decided that it isn't even worth her time or energy to keep denying them and allows people to decide whatever they want to believe despite her telling the truth. When asked about it, she said, "You know how it goes in the end, you go whatever." At number 6, we have Kirstie Alley. It was believed that there was some bad blood between the two, or that it was one-sided beef that Tom had with the actress. When it was first reported that Kirstie passed away last year, people thought that Tom would at least acknowledge it to the public, as many others did.
but he didn't. Rumors that there was drama between the two started after Leah Remini's memoir briefly mentioned how Tom didn't like Kirsty, and the way he dealt with the news of her passing only seemed to solidify it. In the memoir, she also wrote how Kirsty was one of the few that wasn't even invited to Tom and Katie Holmes' wedding in 2006. Nothing was confirmed, but it was definitely clear that Kirsty was at least a loyal person and fellow member of the Scientology church alongside Tom. When talks of Tom and the church auditioning women to become his wife came out, she defended Tom. When asked about it, she said, "I think whenever you have articles written that there are third and fourth parties' opinions, it's like the game Gossip and you don't get the truth. I think that a magazine of that caliber should have interviewed him and then they would get the truth."
Number 5, Mark Wahlberg. Over the years, Mark Wahlberg has been pretty open when it comes to his dislike towards Tom Cruise. So back in 2013, Mark first let his feelings known about Tom after Tom offended Mark to a T. According to reports from that year, Tom claimed that the work he was doing in a new movie at the time was as tough as fighting in Afghanistan. Mark would then come for the controversial actor when he responded to Tom's response by saying, "For actors to sit there and talk about, oh, I went to SEAL training and I slept on the, I don't give a F what you did. You don't do what these guys did." He even went on to make things clear that he was referring to fellow actor Tom Cruise. While both stars have never worked together in the past before, it's clear to say after this public showdown, they most likely will not be working in the same room together anytime soon. Number 4, Russell Crowe. Loyalty is everything to some people, even to celebrities. Unfortunately for Tom Cruise, this means that many fellow actors despise him for the way he treated his ex-wives. When Tom filmed the 2018 reboot of The Mummy with Russell Crowe, rumors began to swirl that Russell couldn't deal with his co-star, and that he didn't want to because of what went down with Tom and Nicole Kidman. A source then revealed to the Daily Mail that Russell wasn't the biggest fan when it comes to Cruise after they told the media outlet Russell is a loyal guy and never forgave Tom for the way he treated Nicole. If they stayed friends, he would have felt like he was betraying Nicole, so he froze Tom out of his life completely. As it turns out, Nicole and Russell go way back, so it only seems like he felt obligated to maintain a sense of loyalty towards Nicole.
At number 3, we have Tom criticizing Brooke Shields' fight with postpartum depression. Back in 2005, Brooke showcased her mental health struggles through her Down Came the Rain, My Journey Through Postpartum Depression memoir. Her Get Real tell-all follows the arrival of her daughter Rowan back in 2003. Brooke was uber honest about her use of therapy and antidepressants to cope, and this seemed to press Tom greatly. At the time, the actor spoke with Access Hollywood about how he felt Brooke's positive spin on her use of antidepressants was irresponsible. He further went on to say, "When someone says medication has helped them, it is to cope. It didn't cure anything. There is no science. There's nothing that can cure them whatsoever. I care about Brooke because I think she's an incredibly talented woman, but look where her career has gone." However, Brooke was not here for any of that and slammed Tom back in a New York Times op-ed, writing, "Comments like those made by Tom Cruise are a disservice to mothers everywhere. If any good can come from Mr. Cruise's ridiculous rant, let's hope that it gives much needed attention to a serious disease." Brooke later also told People, "Tom should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum depression decide what treatment options are best for them." At number 2, we have Tom's alleged ties to the COS auditioning wives for him. In between Nicole and Katie, apparently, the Church of Scientology attempted to scope out the ideal wife for the actor. At least that is according to a mind-boggling Vanity Fair report in 2012. The VF article suspected that Shelley, wife of leader David, was hand-selecting the perfect girlfriend for their star member. During 2004, there was a rumored audition that took place with actresses who were also a part of the COS, who were called into what they originally assumed was a training film audition. However, according to reports, the actors were supposedly asked questions about Tom, and then in October 2004, Homeland actress Nazini Bonaiati was apparently chosen as the frontrunner. In line with the magazine, Nazini partook in daily audits over the course of a month and was forced to disclose every single detail about herself with nothing off limits. In November of that year, Nazini was eventually selected to go on a date with Tom, but she was reportedly told to break up with her boyfriend, remove her braces, and darken her hair first. According to sources, the actress also signed numerous confidentiality agreements, but the romance derailed in January 2005. Insiders claim Tom would report his live-in girlfriend to the staff of COS if he wasn't pleased with her actions. Resultantly, Tom apparently got someone to break up with her, with the
the explanation that the actor wanted someone with her own power, like Nicole. At number 1, we have Tom being the reason why his former divorces ended. Is Scientology to blame for the split from his ex-wives? A number of ex-Scientologists seem to think so. Previous high-ranking Scientologist Marty Rathburn alleged that his job was to facilitate the breakup with Nicole Kidman because she was a non-believer. In the 2015 documentary Going Clear: Scientology and the Prison to Believe. To corroborate these claims, Leah informed US Weekly that the Celebrity Center's senior vice president, quote, used confidential Scientology counseling sessions to bring a wedge between Tom and his wife Nicole because Nicole didn't want to do Scientology anymore, adding that through Marty Rathburn, he and David were able to get rid of Nicole to get Tom closer to Scientology. Tom and Nicole split back in 2001, and Nicole went viral during the finalization process when she exited her lawyer's office in unfiltered bliss. As for Katie, if we time jump to 2006, their marriage was officiated with David as Tom's best man. But in 2012, Tom made claims of being blindsided by Katie's decision to divorce and gain full custody of their daughter Suri. While the COS wasn't directly meddling at the time, it seems the practice was the official fallout between the former couple.
Number 10. Mark Wahlberg. In 2013, a series of leaked court documents suggested that Tom Cruise had compared working on a film to being as intense as fighting in Afghanistan. It's safe to say that this statement did not go down well with Mark Wahlberg. Later down the line, while he was promoting his film Lone Survivor, which was based on actual events of the failed 2005 mission Operation Red Wings, where Mark played the role of a Navy SEAL. When asked about the difficulty of shooting the film, he went on an angry rant. Quote, for actors to sit there and talk about, oh, I went to SEAL training and I slept on the floor. I don't give an F what you did. You don't do what these guys did. For somebody to sit there and say, my job was as difficult as somebody in the military's, how effing dare you, while you sit in a makeup chair for 2 hours. He added that at the end of the day, actors get to go home, go to their hotel room and order effing chicken. Tom's lawyers then jumped in very quickly and claimed that the actor was only joking, and in fact is a staunch supporter of the troops. But the tension was very clearly real. Number 9. Thandie Newton. When speaking with Vulture, Newton revealed exactly why working with Tom Cruise on the 2000 film Mission Impossible was a total nightmare. When asked why she never filmed another movie in the franchise, the actress said, oh, I was never asked. I was so scared of Tom. He was a very dominant individual. He tries super hard to be a nice person. She described him as really stressed and dominant, recounting an incident on set in which she and Cruise attempted to finish a night scene on the balcony. Quote, I don't think it was a very well written scene. I get angry with him, we're frustrated at each other, and Tom made a decision at the very beginning of the movie, unbeknownst certainly to me, that he didn't speak English, which I think was very helpful to him, but it was extremely unhelpful to the rest of us. Thandie went on to say that Tom got so frustrated with her performance that it just pushed her further into a place of terror and insecurity. But despite everything, Thandie insisted that she doesn't think poorly of Tom as a person. Quote, he wasn't horrible, it was just that he was really stressed. But the pressure, he takes on a lot. I think he has this sense that only he can do everything as best as it can be done. Number 8. Brooke Shields. Telling women what they can and can't wear is one way to make yourself extremely unpopular among the female demographic, but telling them how to give birth is a different kind of insult entirely. Just ask Brooke Shields after she had to deal with public shaming from Tom Cruise, who went on the record criticizing her decision to use antidepressants to help her with postpartum depression. Quote, when someone says medication has helped them, it is to cope. It didn't cure anything. There is no science. There is nothing that can cure them whatsoever. And if that wasn't condescending enough for you, he added, I care about Brooke Shields because I think she's an incredibly talented woman, but look at where her career has gone. But Brooke was not having it and took the opportunity to stand up for herself and new mothers everywhere. She said, Tom should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum depression decide what treatment options are best for them. Adding that, I'm going to take a wild guess and say that Mr. Cruise has never suffered from postpartum depression. She called his comments a disservice to mothers everywhere and said that if any good can come of Mr. Cruise's ridiculous rants, let's hope that it gives much needed attention to a serious disease.
At number 7, we have Tom being accused of brainwashing his eldest younglings. While Nicole and Tom were still together, they adopted 2 kids named Isabella and Connor. However, once they split, it was stated that Tom did his very best to convince them that they needed to cut their mom out of their lives. This shocking allegation came from former Scientologist Sam Domingo in 2019 when Sam told R Online Tom made the decision to disconnect from Nicole and have his children disconnect. Sam claimed Isabella and Connor were forced into Scientology school and the removal of their mother. Furthermore, Sam went on to add that they were brainwashed by growing up without choices and that they are most notably being used as leverage for the church, and it's not right. Since this, Connor has reportedly been formulated into becoming the quote perfect Scientologist and remains under constant supervision as per the church-owned hotel surveillance. Isabella, on the other hand, started a promotional video for the church's London branch, which encouraged members to intern as auditors, where Isabella described how she felt the training was incredible and thanked her dad for everything. At number 6, we have Tom's toxic Mission Impossible 7 rant. His viral spiel during unprecedented times for the film industry reportedly resulted in a handful of crew members quitting. While the question of when filming for this movie will finally end has been up in the air for movie enjoyers since production halted during the prime time of the worldwide health policies, apparently Tom cost the team a lot more than monetary value can replace. While resuming shooting for the high-budget project, Tom famously scolded 2 crew members who allegedly failed to stick to official guidelines. Following this, reports detailed that 5 team members stepped down. The Sun described the December 14th occurrence, which faced obvious backlash. A source dished to the publication, "The first outburst was big, but things haven't calmed since. Tension has been building for months, and this was the final straw. There's been more anger and several staff have walked, but Tom just can't take anymore after all the lengths they've gone through just to keep filming. He's upset others aren't taking it as seriously as him. In the end, he's the one who carries the can."
Number 5. Control freak. Tom is no stranger to an on-set freakout or two, but he's also made a name for himself as a bit of a control freak. Both on set and in his personal relationships, Tom feels a need to be in charge of every little thing at any given time. An insider told Radar Online that Tom was not good at keeping a relationship, as many women found him to be very intense. To him, any partner is an extension of himself and his brand. So he's not only intense, but he's also a micromanager as well. So much so that at times, Cruise has even been known to control what his partners are allowed to wear when they're in public together. This made many love interests feel like members of his staff, and rightfully so. Tom has also been a control freak on set, with the most recent example being an incident that occurred on his last Mission Impossible movie. An audio clip was released of Cruise berating several crew members with intense anger. The crew in question were accused of not following safety protocols that were in place at that time. In his rant, Tom is heard swearing and screaming about the rules, and how if he wants something to happen, it will happen. The crew are essentially his minions, who must do their master's bidding. The rant went viral, but Cruise defended the rant rather than apologizing for his words, claiming that he said what he said and the stakes were high at the time, so I don't know, deal with it. While this may have been happening at a time when Hollywood was shut down and many productions were on hold, that's no excuse to harass the people trying to make you look good. Number 4, mansplainer. Now, telling women what they can and can't wear is one way to ensure you won't be popular among a female demographic, but telling them how to give birth? Now that's a whole other level of messed up. While many people in power have been trying to tell women what to do with their bodies forever, Cruise was forced to address rumors that he made his third wife Katie give birth in secret and in complete silence, a practice Scientologists believe prevents any permanent psychic scars caused by negative vibes at birth. Cruise confirmed that this was true, but made the argument that the process was not as strict as many people believed it to be. He even had a special pacifier made specifically for Katie to keep her as quiet as possible during the birth. This wasn't the only time Cruise chimed in on his beliefs, as in 2005 he openly criticized Endless Love co-star Brooke Shields for taking medication to help her cope with postpartum depression. Well, Shields responded by telling Tom that he should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum decide what treatment options are best for them. Eat it, Tom!
Number 3, Ian McKellen. When it comes to Mission Impossible movies, they have always had a great villain with talented actors playing slippery, slimy, international criminals. And for the second film, Tom almost enlisted the services of British actor Ian McKellen. But ultimately, the actor decided to turn down Tom's offer by making a statement in an interview with People magazine in July of 2015, where he told the outlet if he agreed to take the role in Tom's film, then he would have missed out on 2 of his most iconic roles, before he made fun of Tom, saying they wouldn't let him see the script and decided that his scenes were just good enough because the production production team was scared, Ian might have just leaked the whole script to the media. So he only got the scenes that he was doing for his audition, and it didn't sit so well with him, as he wasn't happy with the thought of agreeing to do a project without seeing the entire story. So he said no, and his agent told him, "You can't say no to working with Tom Cruise," and Ian told his agent, "I think I will." Luckily, Ian made the right choice, as then he was offered a role not only in the X-Men movies, but also in the Lord of the Rings franchise. And if he did take Tom's movie, he would have never been able to do those roles, so it would have been a huge loss for him. Number 2, Javier Bardem. Javier Bardem got his start in Spain after he starred in a number of films throughout the 1990s before making the leap to Hollywood. Eventually, after a small role alongside Tom Cruise in Collateral and a leading part in the drama Goya's Ghost, he then gained notoriety in the film No Country for Old Men. Before Collateral, Javier actually almost starred with Tom Cruise in the 2002 Steven Spielberg directed sci-fi action Minority Report. In fact, during a speech at the Toronto Film Festival in 2017, Spielberg even revealed that Javier was his original choice for the Department of Justice agent Danny Whitwer. But the star was kinda intimidated about making a leading role in such a high-profile role for one of his first American projects, not just because it was difficult for him to jump into a foreign language for his performance at the time, as his English wasn't that good, but he also didn't want to step on Tom Cruise's toes, as the actor is a bit of a hothead from time to time. So that's why the role went to Colin Farrell. Coming in number 1 today, we have Ricky Gervais. For Mission Impossible 3, Tom also served as a producer on the franchise, and he needed the film to go in a fresh direction. After failing to get the project in motion with Joe Carnahan, he turned to TV director J.J. Abrams to direct the next installment. Looking for some new members to cast, Abrams put out an offer to Ricky Gervais. In the beginning, the actor was excited to join the film, but unfortunately, due to repeated delays in the film's production, it proved to be a real problem for Ricky, as he was really committed not only to his own TV series, but also with the Christopher Guest film For Your Consideration. Eventually, Ricky then made the decision to drop this film. While this wouldn't be the last time Abrams would call Ricky to star in his films, it was certainly the last time he ever agreed to star in a movie with Tom Cruise.
Number 10. Scientology rants. Apart from his acting chops, Cruise is probably best known for his passionate advocacy of the Church of Scientology. In the past, Cruise has claimed that the religion was a key factor in helping him overcome his dyslexia and holds a fairly active role in the controversial church. For those who don't know, Scientology is a set of beliefs invented by a writer named L. Ron Hubbard. I spent half of my day trying to figure out what specifically those beliefs are, but hey, it turns out the information about these guys is just as cryptic as the religion itself. Tom was first introduced to Scientology by his first wife, Mimi Rogers, whose father was a prominent member of the movement and has stuck with it ever since. While nobody on this planet deserves to be hated because of their beliefs, Tom doesn't help this situation, as it's been reported on numerous occasions that he seizes any opportunity he finds to corner you and break down his religion for a long time. Famous comedian Seth Rogen wrote in his biography Yearbook about an experience that he had with Tom after being invited to his home in 2006. When the topic of Scientology was mentioned, Tom went on a tangent about how he was being perceived in the media and explained to Rogen in great detail the reasons that he should be a Scientologist. He asked Rogen to give him 20 minutes to really sink into the history of the church, but thankfully director Judd Apatow was sitting with them at the time and he was like, "Nah, we're good." Tom was nuts. He even blamed the pharmaceutical companies for making him look bad, saying that they had something to do with the negative press. They've got better things to do, like, I don't know, cure chicken pox and stuff. Number 9. Angry Little Man. While Tom may be an action movie star and was once a young Hollywood heartthrob, he's had a massive temper since day one. According to both former assistants as well as several co-stars from Tom's past, Cruise is a regular toddler and is known to throw tantrums being set off by the smallest things. His former manager Eileen Berlin presented Tom with a gift on his 19th birthday. She gave him an album of teen magazine articles written about him, and apparently that set him off. He told his manager that he considered himself an adult, not a teen idol, and he decided to throw the book right in her face. Another example of Tom's aggression was on display during the filming of his recent Top Gun sequel, Maverick. During this time, Tom and the rest of the film crew were tasked to shoot on an actual aircraft carrier still being used by the US military. One of the crewmates of that ship posted on Twitter calling out the audacity of Tom's behavior. He tweeted that Tom Cruise was really on our ship telling people not to talk or look at him. After a few choice words, the crewmate made it very clear clear that Tom was not welcome aboard their vessel. These are just two examples though. Tom has blown up on film crews several times in the past, to the point where his Mission Impossible 2 co-star was constantly scared of Tom on set and what he may freak out about next. Number 8, he's chaotic. Now, it's one thing to be asking people to join your church all the time, whatever, no biggie. But Tom's behavior as a member of society has been rough to say the least. Following the announcement that he was engaged to Katie Holmes in the early 2000s, Tom appeared on an episode of The Oprah Winfrey Show that has gone down as one of the most chaotic TV interviews of all time. From the moment he walks on stage, he has such a strange energy. He's like oddly excited, like he just got told the best news in his entire life. He throws his arms up in the air, he rubs Oprah's shoulders like she's a lamp and he's trying to summon a genie. He revealed to the audience that the excitement was from his engagement to fellow actor Katie Holmes. Awesome, man, but can you stop trying to break Oprah, please? Seriously, Tom jumped on her couch, he grabbed her hands over and over again. She couldn't even get to the questions that she had for him because he was just so chaotic. Eventually, Oprah was like, whatever, just bring her out. And the cameras followed Tom as he ran around the studio trying to find her. It looked like a scene from Paranormal Activity. Tom's energy continued to stay at that level of chaos throughout his entire marriage to Katie. Since the divorce though, he's just nuts.
Number 7, Val Kilmer. So Val Kilmer has turned down 2 roles when it comes to starring in a movie with Tom Cruise. The first role would be for the movie Collateral. Well, at first Val was announced to star in the film in an undisclosed role. It would be announced later that he departed from the film because of the shooting schedule when it came into conflict with the film Alexander, which he was already well into filming. Then he would turn down to collaborate with Tom Cruise for a second time when he turned down a role for the film The Outsiders because he was prepping for a run on Broadway in a play titled Slab Boys. And in hindsight, this might have been a wrong move as the play only ran for 6 weeks, and in addition, Kevin Bacon and Sean Penn to cast saw Val being bumped down to a supporting role. Now eventually Val did end up working with Tom when he starred in the film Top Gun, but initially he also turned down that role. He only ended up taking it because Tom Cruise just kept hounding him about the role. Number 6, Bill Murray. Imagine if Ghostbusters star ended up playing Bill Harford in the film's Eyes Wide Shut. Well, it actually almost happened, as Stanley Kubrick's 2020 release book, American Filmmaker, it would reveal that Bill was on the filmmaker's shortlist of casting choices when he was planning the movie in the 1980s before the role went to Tom Cruise in 1999. But that's not the role he turned down to obviously work with Tom Cruise, as just a decade earlier, Bill was actually offered a role opposite of Tom in the 1988 drama Rain Man, with the original script being sent to Bill by Mark Ovitz at CAA. Bill just decided not to read the film mainly because he wasn't interested in the project, as he heard Tom Cruise was involved in it. So the role was given to Dustin Hoffman instead. Bill didn't feel too bad about turning down the role, as he could have won an Academy Award for Best Actor, because after he turned down the chance to star alongside Tom Cruise, he turned his attention to Scrooge, which has become an iconic Christmas classic and one of his most celebrated roles.
At number 5, we have Tom Cruise reportedly leaving his daughter Suri Cruise behind. Tom wants absolutely no one to think he just left his youngest daughter hanging to dry. However, this is exactly what several stories are claiming over the past couple of years. In 2012, Tom filed his lawsuit against Bauer Media for their articles, which appeared in Life and Style and In Touch, with claims that he turned his back on his daughter. However, he was later forced to admit in his deposition the following year that he hadn't seen Suri for an extended period of time because of his work. In 2012, it was marked at 100 days since he last saw her, and by 2016, In Touch had reports detailing over 1,000 days. A source informed the magazine that Tom, quote, uses his film commitments as an excuse, but the truth is that doesn't hold much weight with Suri anymore. The source added Tom's connection to Scientology with this, and their disconnection policy as well. Quote, he's disconnected from Suri because of her connection to Katie. He hasn't seen her since she was 7. At number 4, we have Tom punishing Scientologists. According to rumors stemming from former devoted member Leah Remini, who dished it all in her 2013 published piece, Troublemakers Surviving Hollywood and Scientology, there are a number of horror stories about their most famous member during Leah's time there. In November 2018, Leah described to the Daily Beast that Scientologists are told that Tom Cruise is saving the world single-handedly, so he is considered a deity within Scientology. Leah further alleged that Tom is scarily aware of what takes place in Scientology, as he has reportedly been a part of it all. Leah added that she's previously been told by a senior executive of Scientology who was there that David constantly threatened their staff with bringing Tom Tom Cruise to gold base. Aside from this, Leah also described to the outlet that there was a time when Tom personally punished a high-ranking member under David's orders. Of course, the COS rapidly shut down these allegations, telling ET Canada the interview is a PR stunt to promote her fake reality TV show. Remini has gone out of her way to manufacture hate and instigate harm toward innocent people.
Number 3, Nicole Kidman. So believe it or not, but Katie Holmes wasn't Tom Cruise's first marriage that ended in divorce. As before there was Katie, Tom was actually married to Nicole Kidman for 11 years. Well, that's quite a long time to be married. Nicole has said that it might not have been the best decision for her to make, as at the time she told Daily Mail, "I was so young when I got married. I look back at it and I'm like, what?" Nicole also went on to reveal that she felt pretty lonely during her marriage, and after she ended up winning an Oscar, she had this epiphany. She then went on to tell the outlet that it isn't the answer. "I was holding a gold statue and I was the lowest I've ever been." While the star doesn't hate Tom, Nicole would also note that she never saw their divorce coming. Later in an interview with Du Jour magazine, she also took the time to say, "It took me a very long time to heal. It was a shock to myself. It was a shock to my system." Since Nicole hasn't really said much about her relationship with Tom, it wouldn't really be shocking to know that she just couldn't stand him, as he truly broke her heart. Number 2, Alec Baldwin. So the thing with Tom Cruise is that even when he isn't trying, he still has a tendency to get on people's bad side. He also doesn't even have to be in the same room as someone to annoy them, to the point that they never want to be in the same room as him ever again. For instance, Alec Baldwin has made his feelings clear when it comes to Tom, and they aren't all great. At the 2009 Elle magazine annual Woman in Hollywood dinner, Alec gave a speech about equal pay in Hollywood, and he even cracked a joke about Tom's insane paychecks when he said, "I believe we can balance the scales if Tom would lower his quote by a mere $29 million. I realize this may be a bit unfair since he's not here to defend himself, and I really don't want to put this all on one man. But if I had to, that man would be Tom Cruise. I assure you my salary would not make a difference. My annual salary is the budget of Altoids on one of Tom's movies." With Alec not really being impressed with how much money Tom is being paid, but considering that Tom also threw Alec's daughter a safety net in Scientology, it's clear that these actors will probably never work together. And coming in number 1 today, we have Brooke Shields. Tom is known to never shy away from making a statement, and he certainly didn't shy away when he told Access Hollywood in 2005 that Brooke Shields' use of antidepressants was irresponsible. At the time, Brooke was battling with postpartum depression, and Tom, who was a well-known Scientologist, was brainwashed to think that mind-altering medications, including antidepressants, aren't only damaging to the body, but the controversial church has also made him believe that these type of medications can decrease his awareness and hinder his abilities. While he did make a quick mention to say that Brooke was an incredible actress, that wouldn't save him from receiving backlash from his fans, media, and Brooke herself, as Brooke would respond to Tom's comments by saying Tom should stick to saving the world from aliens and let women who are experiencing postpartum depression decide what treatment options are best for them. The duo previously worked together on the 1981 romance drama Endless Love, but it seems like this would be their first and last film together thanks to their strong disapproval of each other.
At number 10, we have Tom's accusations of forcing Scientologists to do grueling labor work for him. Over the past decade, numerous ex-members belonging to the Church of Scientology have stepped forward to point blame at the church for gross misconduct alongside several other allegations, and it seems Tom centers around the negativity. Former Inspector General Mark Rathburn once told R Online in 2011 that he obtained secret emails which proved that Scientologists were laborly forced to build a luxury bus to gift to Tom. In 2013, 15 ex-Scientologists also claimed Tom took reoccurring advantage of members while only paying them $1 per hour to complete endless jobs. Reports of their leader ordering them included completing the renovation of his home in Beverly Hills in 2004, overseeing the construction of a large custom motorhome for Cruise over a 5-month period, and assisting in the customization and construction of a special limousine for Tom Cruise. Former COS high-ranker Amy Scooby once described having to locate Scientologists for Tom Cruise's household to cover the positions of nanny, cook, and maid. Reported documents allege that anyone who did not meet the requirements of their orders faced inhumane punishments. What are your thoughts on Tom Cruise's 10th red flag? Tell us in the comments below. At number 9, we have his apparent comparison of acting to fighting in Afghanistan. According to the reported deposition from 2013, during his $50 million lawsuit against Bauer Media, the actor supposedly informed the court that on-location filming was just as taxing as serving a tour of duty. The lawyer of the opposite legal team had brought up his absence from Surrey, which publicly equated it for these extended periods of time as being analogous to someone fighting in Afghanistan. Are you aware of that? Tom reportedly responded with, "Didn't hear the Afghanistan, but that's what it feels like, and certainly on this last movie, it was brutal." The press was instant on this headliner, and Tom's lawyer Bert Fields attempted to set the record straight by claiming Tom's remarks were taken entirely out of context. Bert further slammed the assertions that Tom Cruise likened making a movie to being at war in Afghanistan is a gross distortion of the record. What Tom said laughingly was that sometimes that's what it feels like. At number 8 we have Tom's divorce strategy. Tom has gone through 3 marriages so far, all ending in messy headlines and he said she said. However, it's been reported that there is much more in common with his foreign marriages than the fact that they just ended. Apparently there's a pattern shadowing the actor in every one of his splits with his ex-wives Mimi Rogers, Nicole Kidman, and Katie Holmes. According to reports, all 3 ladies were the exact same age when they filed for divorce, as well as each of them is 11 years younger than the last. Many have chalked this scenario up as a coincidence that he ended in marriage with them at the specific age of 33. However, others have noted that 33 is indeed a significant number for Tom's Church of Scientology. NY Daily News once reported, quote, "The original membership organization for the controversial religious group, the Hubbard Association of Scientologists, was founded in Phoenix, Arizona, which lies on the 33rd parallel." Outside of this theory though, there have been other simpler suggestions for this pattern, which is that Tom just has a preference for dating women under 33 and sticks to that no matter what. Regardless, it could be anything really.
Number 7, Brad Pitt. Although the two A-list actors have a lot in common, especially when it comes to their careers, they allegedly couldn't be more at odds with each other. In fact, rumors have it that they have been feuding for 25 years, and it all started with one movie, 1994's Interview with a Vampire. The hit horror film where both actors had starring roles really ignited their resentment for one another. And even though the film was nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe upon its release, Brad said that he was miserable on set and that Tom being there certainly didn't help. And when asked about his co-star in an interview, Brad did not bother to hold back his feelings at all. Quote, "He bugged me. There came a point during filming when I started really resenting him. He's North Pole, I'm South. He's always coming at you with a handshake whereas I may bump into you. There was this underlying competition that got in the way of any real conversation." Fast forward to 2009, when both actors were starring in World War II dramas, Brad in Inglourious Basterds and Tom in Valkyrie. Not only was Brad's film way better received, but to add insult to injury, he reportedly called Tom's film a ridiculous movie. Number 6, Nicole Kidman. Although it's been over for decades, Nicole Kidman's marriage to Tom Cruise is still one of Hollywood's most talked about relationships. But at the time of meeting, he was still married to Mimi Rogers. Tom eventually divorced his first wife in February of 1990, and less than 1 year later, he exchanged vows with Nicole. They even adopted 2 children, Isabella Jane and Connor Anthony, and eventually went on to make 2 more movies together as a couple. But as we all know, their marriage was far from perfect, and they ended up splitting up a decade later in 2001. Looking back on the divorce, Nicole said, quote, "I was so young when I got married. I look back now and I'm like, what?" She told Red Magazine that she felt isolated during her marriage, and even when she won an Oscar, she described it as, "I was holding a gold statue and I was the loneliest I'd ever been." The divorce took Nicole by surprise, and it got very messy very quickly with the custody battle. In the end, Tom allegedly turned her children against her, as he was granted full custody of their kids, and ended up raising both of them to be Scientologists. But despite all the heartbreak, nothing beats that iconic photo of Nicole leaving her attorney's office, jumping for joy after their divorce was finalized.
Next on the list, we have Nazanin Boniandi. Before Tom married Kate, he was married to actress Nazanin. Their marriage was met with tons of criticism due to the unorthodox ways of going through with it. It was reported that he needed someone who shared the same religious beliefs as him, as his previous relationships with members outside of Scientology didn't work out. Apparently, Nazanin had been accepted into one of their institution's buildings meant for celebrities, where she met one of the Scientologist higher-ups. He told her she was meant to complete a mission that would help her meet lots of other Scientologists like herself. Apparently, she was dating and was engaged to another man at the time, which they coerced her into breaking up with him, along with telling her to get rid of her red hair and her short-term braces. This confrontation also came with an agreement that said if she messed up in any way, she would be shunned by the church and her own mother. It was this contract where she allegedly agreed to marry Tom. Lots of her rights and personal freedoms were no longer hers, as she basically signed her life away. These reports were never officially confirmed, as many are still speculation, but she did end up leaving the church altogether when she and Tom divorced in 1990. Next on the list at number 4, we have David Miscavige. These two were friends, and this is said with a huge question mark because their friendship was weird. One former member of Scientology who worked closely with David said that their friendship was the most intense, expensive bromance in history. As a world-famous Hollywood actor and as the leader of Scientology, this makes sense considering their huge roles in society. It was reported that Tom's fame in the industry was constantly a liability, especially when the news broke out that he and Katie were getting divorced. He allegedly was not happy with this new wave of negative attention the church was receiving as a result. Even though Scientology has always had a bad rep, if I'm not mistaken, he was convinced that their divorce brought upon lies and misconception about their beliefs. Supposedly, one former Scientologist used Tom's divorce as their way to further smear the church with lies so they could promote themselves. And then there were rumors that Tom himself would be leaving Scientology as well. But this was back in 2012. Seeing as he's still an active participant in his church, I don't think he'll be leaving anytime soon. At number 3, we have Penelope Cruz. The two actors met on set of the movie Vanilla Sky, where they both starred in it. Tom was still married to Nicole Kidman at the time, and the timeline transitioning between relationships was questionable. When he and Nicole had their divorce finalized in August 2001, was the same month Tom and Penelope went public as a couple for the first time. Despite rumors she involved herself with a married man, she shut them down. She said, "I've never fallen in love with someone I'm working with. It's always been afterwards. If something becomes friendship, then maybe months later it becomes something else, but you can never know." And the two seemed very happy together. They were both successful and undeniably attractive, so what could go wrong? They ended up breaking up 3 years later, and it was believed that his Scientologist views were a big part of it. One source claimed that Tom was looking to propose, but Penelope felt that the Church of Scientology was the third wheel in their relationship. Penelope doesn't have anything against the church, but it just wasn't her thing. She admired Tom's dedication to it, but it wasn't her cup of tea and wasn't something she wanted to give her life up for. At number 2, we have Mimi Rogers. Now, before Katie Holmes and Penelope Cruz and Nicole Kidman, there was Mimi Rogers. The two met and started dating in 1985, but they both can't seem to agree on how they met. Tom said they met at a dinner party, while Mimi claimed they were set up by friends. Their marriage happened just as fast, as they were wed in a super secret and private wedding ceremony in 1987. The fact that they both couldn't agree how they met, it makes sense then that they also couldn't agree on how or why they decided to separate in 1990. This time, it was ideas between them two and rumors brought forth by fans and the media. Some included Mimi being jealous of Tom's success in Hollywood, as she is also an actress herself, their 6-year age gap that took a toll on their marriage, and even the fact that she hated being constantly referred to as Tom's wife. Their public statement announcing the divorce didn't make anything clearer. That was until Mimi said in an interview that Tom confessed that he wanted to become a monk and that their marriage wouldn't have been able to withstand his spiritual needs. And finally, at number 1, we have Suri Cruz. In case you didn't know, because I for sure didn't, Tom has 3 children in total. His first 2 kids were with Nicole Kidman, and Suri is his youngest and latest daughter with Katie Holmes. When he and Katie got divorced, people questioned what would become of their parenting situation. Would they have joint custody? Would Suri go stay with her mom? Allegedly, Tom was not granted any custody, and it was all appointed to Katie. While Tom's relationship with his 2 elder kids remains stable, as they're also members of Scientology, people believe that the same can't be said for his relationship with Suri. One source claimed that they were estranged. The last time Tom was seen in public with Suri was in 2012, and they were spending a day together in Disneyland. 2012 was also the year he and Katie got divorced, so speculators claim that that was one of the last times he got to see her. Another source claimed their estrangement was only inevitable as Katie left him to protect their daughter from Scientology. Now imagine having such a bad reputation. We can list down at least 20 notable individuals in the industry that probably don't like you. The range this man has, and I'm not just talking about his acting career.
So starting off our list today at number 10, we have Will Smith. So for a while now, Will Smith and his wife Jada Pinkett Smith have been denying the fact that they are members of the Church of Scientology. However, if this was the case, then why did they operate one of the church's private schools for their children in their home? As in the report published by Daily Beast, they would confirm that the Leadership Academy that was taking place in one of the couple's homes was essentially a Scientology school, and the teachers the couple had working in the school were followers of the religion where Scientology was studied among the classes. So the teachers at the school were constantly told to talk about building materials into the curriculum that were related to Scientology. And there were even parents who removed their children from the school after they realized that the curriculum revolved around Scientology's practices. While Will Smith definitely wants to curb his involvement with the church after it's clear his wife forced him into it, he has turned down roles with Tom Cruise, so fans don't get the wrong idea about his involvement when it comes to the church. Number 9, Nicholas Hoult. Back in 2019, director Christopher McQuarrie would return to the Mission Impossible franchise not for his third directorial effort in the series, but his fourth as well. The two films would compromise the final entries in the entire saga, and it would send Cruise's Ethan Hunt out in a 2-part bang. But did you know Nicholas Hoult was offered a role by Tom Cruise himself after passing a fight choreography test with flying colors, but then he turned down the film, as the production delays created a problem for the star as he already booked other projects that included a Dracula spin-off. So despite the personal invitation from Tom and all the physical prep work, he flat out turned Tom Cruise down. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, we have Jessica Chastain. Imagine being an Oscar-nominated actor signed up for a movie opposite of Tom Cruise, but then you turn the role down last minute to pursue a different role in another project. Well, this is exactly what happened to Jessica Chastain. Now, you might think a superstar like Tom Cruise would be furious to lose an actor who could very well help make his film or break it, or that he was insulted that they wanted to back out of being his co-star. That very scenario played out to be kinda true when Jessica wiggled out of her commitment to the film, Oblivion, so she could star in another movie. She also turned down the star again when she was offered a role in Mission Impossible just a year later, but she opted out of the film due to its ridiculous training that was required for the film's role. But honestly, the way she just last minute backed out of both roles just proves that she just didn't want to work with Tom Cruise.
Number 7, political moves. Due to his beliefs in Scientology, Cruise intensified his dedication to share his beliefs by becoming an international lobbyist with the goal of helping his church be recognized as an official religion. Tom tried to share his message in multiple countries and was denied by all of them. According to the Irish Examiner, leaders in Paris came to an agreement in 2005 not to make Cruise an honorary citizen because of his affiliation with the church. If that's not bad enough, Cruise brought his issues to the German government. A chief spokesperson for the Protestant church shared that they were against Cruise and his beliefs, comparing him to Joseph Goebbels, a German propagandist. Making a move from TV to politics has historically been a bad one, with the only successful stories really being Arnold Schwarzenegger and Donald Trump, and one of those guys went back to the movies and the other one's in jail now, so I don't know, you be the judge. Number 6, multiple messy divorces. Tom's love life has been a part of the media circus for a large portion of his career. His first marriage to actress Mimi Rogers only lasted 3 years before they split and Tom moved on to Nicole Kidman. Kidman and Cruise got married in 1990 and they were actually together for quite some time. They were together for like 11 years before ultimately calling it quits in 2001. But of course his most memorable and public relationship was with his now ex Katie Holmes. As previously mentioned on this list, the two were engaged in 2005 and at the time Tom was stoked. They tied the knot and stayed together for only 7 years. With the ending beginning of each marriage comes a litany of negative press. Tom got divorced 3 times, which means that 3 times Tom has had to publicly air his dirty laundry for us all to see, and as many of us know, dirty laundry belongs in a pile on your floor. Hide it away.
Number 5. Alec Baldwin. Another celebrity who has had no trouble calling out Tom Cruise was fellow actor Alec Baldwin in 2009. The dirty rock star hosted Elle Magazine's Women in Hollywood dinner and award show, and what he said had even Tom's wife at the time, Katie Holmes, laughing along with everyone. The actor joked about coming up with a solution to the disproportionate salaries between men and women in Hollywood, and then seemingly came up with an idea to solve the pay gap. Quote, I believe we can balance the scales if Tom Cruise would lower his quote by a mere $29 million. I realize this may be a little bit unfair since he's not here to defend himself, and I really don't want to put all of this on one man, but if I had to, that man would be Tom Cruise. He went on to assure the audience that his own salary was nothing compared to Tom's. In fact, his annual salary, as he said, is the budget from mints that were featured in one of his movies. But as the saying goes, there really is a grain of truth in every joke. According to Variety, the actor is expected to earn $100 million or more from his new movie Top Gun Maverick, which would be one of the biggest paydays for an actor for a single movie ever. Number 4. Leah Remini. A former longtime Scientologist, King of Queens star Leah Remini opened up about her experiences in the church in her 2015 memoir Troublemaker, much to the disdain of Tom Cruise. In her book, Leah also made some shocking allegations about several well-known Hollywood celebrities. In fact, she recalled a time that she and her husband, Angelo, spent time at Tom Cruise's Beverly Hills mansion when he invited a group of well-known Scientologists and other celebrities including Will and Jada Pinkett Smith. He announced to all the guests that he wanted to play hide and seek and pressured everyone to join in. Remini also explained another bizarre incident when Tom had a meltdown over cookies. Quote, once he wanted to make cookies and there was a package of pre-packaged cookie dough on the counter. He asked, guys, where's the cookie stuff? Tom seemed like a child who had never been told no, and he screamed at his assistant. And when Top Gun Maverick came out, Remini cautioned fans about supporting him, saying, don't let the movie star charm fool you. And no, I will not watch the movie, nor will I ever support or approve of this scam of a man. So she's clearly not one to forgive or forget. Number 3. Katie Holmes. Back in 2012, the former Hollywood power couple, Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes, announced to the world that they were getting a divorce after 6 years of marriage. News of the A-list split sent shockwaves through the world of show business and sparked waves of rumors and speculation as to why the pair decided to call it quits. After a whirlwind romance, the couple got married in a luxurious Italian wedding ceremony and welcomed their first child together, Suri Cruz. So their divorce came as a shock to everyone. The major reason was allegedly Katie's aversion to raising their daughter in Scientology. Tom basically confirmed this during a 2013 deposition, admitting that this was one of the reasons that his ex-wife filed for divorce. He also revealed that his daughter, Suri, who was just 7 years old at the time, was no longer a practicing member of the Church of Scientology. This was a pretty surprising admission, considering that those who leave the religion are often cut off from other practicing members, which is probably why Katie won sole custody of Suri, which reportedly included ironclad rulings that she would not be exposed to anything Scientology related. And to this day, it appears as though the former couple aren't exactly on good terms, as Tom reportedly hasn't even seen his daughter in years. Number 2. Mickey Rourke. In a new interview with Piers Morgan Uncensored, the boxer turned actor was asked about Tom Cruise, and he made it quite clear that he wasn't a fan at all. It was mentioned that his new movie, Top Gun Maverick, made over $1 billion at the box office, and Rourke said, that doesn't mean jack to me. This guy's been doing the same effing part for 35 years. I got no respect for that. Rourke went on to list some of the actors whose careers he does enjoy and admire, unlike Tom's. And when Morgan asked whether or not he thinks of Cruise as a good actor, Rourke just said, I think he's irrelevant in my world. And back in 2005, when Tom criticized Brooke Shields for taking antidepressants, Mickey spoke out against him then. Quote, "My therapist saved my effing life and my career. I don't care what Tom Cruise says about therapy. F him." Picking on poor Brooke Shields. People need medicine and they need therapists. Let the Scientologists go effing live on a planet of their own. He was referring to the fact that Scientologists strictly oppose psychiatry and therapy as it goes against their core beliefs. So he's made it pretty clear that he doesn't think very highly of the Hollywood star. And coming in at number 1, John Travolta. Both are active, high-ranking members of the Church of Scientology, but it has been since revealed that the two are not exactly friends. The truth came out when a former bodyguard from the church, Brendan Teague, revealed in 2018 that John Travolta was furious when Tom achieved the highest honor in the organization in 2008. He was awarded the Freedom Medal of Valor from the leader of the organization, David Miscavige. This award is only given to its most dedicated member. John was also said to be frustrated over the fact that Tom has become a major player in the church, and to this day is one of the best known members in the world. Brendan Teague claimed that this event left Travolta feeling extremely jealous. Eventually he grew so angry that he decided to express himself and wrote a scathing letter to Miscavige, which reportedly included the question, "What the hell was this medal all about?" The reason being is that the actor believed himself to be the most dedicated member of the church and had allegedly introduced more members than any other celebrity. So when he was passed over for the award, John began to despise Tom. It didn't help that only 2 years earlier, John wasn't invited to Tom's wedding with Katie Holmes, so their relationship was already rocky to begin with. Number 10, sharing the stage. J-Lo didn't hold back when it came to her opinion on sharing the stage with Shakira at the 2020 Super Bowl halftime show. In her newly released documentary called Halftime, she labeled it as the worst idea in the world. Quote, "If it was going to be a double headliner, they should have given us 20 minutes. That's what they should have effing done." Basically, it turns out that Jennifer was frustrated with the NFL for booking 2 headliners and making them share the same amount of time that any solo performer would receive, as opposed to doubling it and giving the women extra time to shine. As a result, fans slammed the artist for coming off as entitled. While it's true that they only gave the performers 6 minutes each, the action-packed show garnered immense praise from fans across the globe, with many fans commending the women for showcasing their Latin heritage so brilliantly. What J-Lo was really mad about though is that previous solo headliners like Beyonce and The Weeknd received 14 minutes to perform, but judging by her complaints, it's clear that she feels offended that they asked her to share the stage at all. Number 9, cheating allegations. Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck have had an on-again, off-again romance that has been going on since the 2000s, with fans even nicknaming the couple Benifer. I mean, these two just got married this year, after they first got engaged nearly 2 decades ago, but the timeline of their relationship is a huge red flag, and it included alleged cheating. So in July of 2002, Lopez filed for divorce from her second husband, Chris Judd, citing irreconcilable differences. But this news broke just months after Lopez had wrapped the movie Geely alongside her then boyfriend Ben. Even though she vehemently denied cheating rumors, Ben took out an ad in The Hollywood Reporter gushing about Lopez before her divorce wasn't yet finalized. In fact, even Chris Judd's father, Larry, spoke out against the couple and accused J-Lo of being unfaithful to his son. He insinuated that the affair started during the filming of Geely. Quote, "I thought Mr. Affleck would honor a married woman and not just go right into the trailer," and added that she'd be happier if she'd just tell the truth and no one in her little circle is going to say one negative thing to her. But we'll never really know the truth of what happened. Number 8, music theft. The star has been accused of stealing and borrowing background tracks and vocals from other artists for years. One of the stars who accused her of doing this was Usher in 2005. He claimed that she stole a song that he cast aside while recording his hugely successful album called Confessions. Usher claimed that J-Lo's single Get Right is actually a re-recorded version of Ride, a song that he co-wrote the year before, which was only available online. He said, quote, "I hate it, but I'd better get some of the publishing rights or else. I didn't put it on my album because I couldn't get it right, but I didn't expect J-Lo to just take it." And apart from being accused of stealing the same sample song that Mariah Carey used for Loverboy, J-Lo was also given songs that were initially intended for Ashanti Ashanti, which is why a lot of people claim what happened between the two artists was straight up music theft. In September of 2001, Lopez released I'm Real from her second studio album, J-Lo, that she worked on with Irv Gotti. But the song was already recorded and mixed with Ashanti's vocals, which is why you can still hear her background vocals in Lopez's version. Number 7. Makeup artist feud. Scott Barnes, who worked for J-Lo for the past 20 years, has had to deal with so much of the star's crazy hot and cold behavior. In the mid-2000s, the star essentially banished her longtime makeup artist, Scott Barnes, after rumors surfaced that someone had leaked info to the press about her and Mark Anthony's secret marriage ceremony. Speaking on the Jeff Probst show in 2012, when asked about how J-Lo treated him, he said, quote, "It was like I had the plague." But interestingly enough, eventually she ended up giving Barnes his old job back again after learning the truth, but apparently failed to apologize for being so cold and ruthless towards him. I mean, she literally cut him off without a word and blamed him for the leak without even confronting him. Barnes went on to say, quote, "I went right back to work with her and we just never spoke about it again," which is even weirder. The funny thing is, her celebrity makeup artist would go on to work with her for another 6 years and insisted that they remain on good terms despite the fact that she ghosted him and didn't even apologize for it. Number 6. The Mark Anthony romance. Celebrity gossip magazines could not get enough of the power couple in the early 2000s. They were absolutely everywhere and it seemed like fans loved the pairing. But their beginnings as a couple were super questionable to say the least. Anthony married former Miss Universe Dayanara Torres in 2000, while Lopez was dating Ben Affleck roughly around the same time. But the on-again, off-again couple picked their romance back up while Anthony was still married to Dayanara. So less than a week after Anthony's divorce was finalized, the couple surprised fans by getting married in a small, casual ceremony in her Beverly Hills home in early June. It really begs the question of whether or not J-Lo was some kind of homewrecker, because the timeline of the rekindled relationship seems really off. I mean, he actually broke Dayanara's heart, and she said, quote, "You go through hell. I cried until there were no tears left, until I was numb. I didn't want to eat, I didn't care to get dressed or take a shower, I just wanted to lie there." Anthony's feelings for Jennifer might have been there all along because the two had history, but he should have put way more thought into who he chose to marry in the first place. So in a way, they're both at fault here. Ashanti. While Jennifer Lopez has landed herself several platinum-selling hits since her rise to fame with her debut album, she is no stranger to causing controversy regarding how she ends up getting her songs. While Ashanti has never openly admitted to sharing a feud with Jennifer Lopez, the R&B songstress has certainly hinted that she was often overlooked because of the success. Aside from being accused of stealing the same sample song that Mariah Carey used for her song Loverboy in the same year, Lopez was also given songs that were initially intended for Ashanti, which left Ashanti feeling irritated given that she had just landed her first taste of success in the music industry around that same time. Then in September of 2001, Lopez released I'm Real, lifted from her second studio album with Gotti, but he eventually handed the track over to Lopez even though the song was already recorded and mixed with Ashanti's vocals, which is why you still hear her background vocals in Lopez's version. Ashanti said, quote, "It felt bittersweet because I was really excited because it was with J-Lo, you know what I mean? But I was so mad at Irv because I was like, you know, I wanted that record." The whole situation between the two stars always seems bizarre and unfair, and many people believe that J-Lo outright stole Ashanti's vocals and passed them off as her own. Usher. J-Lo and Usher had a pretty big feud in 2005 over alleged music theft. The star had been accused of stealing or borrowing background tracks and vocals from other artists for years, and Usher had something to say about this. He claimed that his R&B rival stole a song that he cast aside while recording the hugely successful album Confessions. Usher said that J-Lo's single Get Right is actually a re-recorded version of Ride, a song that he co-wrote last year, which was only available online. When asked about the whole ordeal, the then 26-year-old said, Quote, "I hate it, but I'd better get some of the publishing rights or else. I didn't put it on my album because I couldn't get it right, but I didn't expect J-Lo to just take it." In fact, this whole situation was partly due to producer Rich Harrison, who co-wrote the track with Usher and later decided to use it during recording sessions for J-Lo's upcoming album Rebirth, using the exact same vocal pattern. So J-Lo's song Get Right is actually a reworking of a beat Usher had created for his own album. When he scrapped his song Ride, parts of it made it into Jennifer's track and created one of the biggest dance floor hits ever. At least Usher was vocal about it, and as a result chose not to work with J-Lo for several years following. Howard Stern. The controversial radio host Howard Stern is J-Lo's biggest critic and just doesn't understand her appeal. He said so himself on his super popular radio show. Not only isn't he a fan of her music, but Stern has publicly claimed that Jennifer's been rude to him on multiple occasions, despite his friendship with people close to her, saying that he does not respect her stuck-up attitude. One of the main reasons why Lopez will never go on the Howard Stern show is because he has attacked everything from her career choices to her appearance. Both were judges on America's Got Talent at the same time, and in a red carpet interview with HLN in 2012, he said that Jennifer Lopez was more interested in promoting her career than being a proper judge. Quote, "It helped her career. She got very far. She suddenly got back on the charts and the show was good for her, and it became more about J-Lo." In 2016, Howard compared J-Lo's music to that of a homeless woman who sang a nonsensical song, and as a prank, Howard's staff took the song to pedestrians on the street and tried to pass it off as her latest hit. One of the harshest things he's ever said though was during an interview with J-Lo's ex P. Diddy, where he slammed her looks by claiming that Diddy got out at the right time due to her aging. Eva Mendes. There was a time where Eva Mendes and J-Lo comparisons were inevitable. Similar to Lopez, Eva's career began in the 90s. She started out featuring in music videos with stars like Will Smith, Aerosmith, and Pet Shop Boys. They were both Latina actors making waves in the entertainment industry in the 2000s. They've both dated A-listers and starred in big-budget blockbusters, delivering standout performances that stole the show. However, when these similarities were brought to Eva's attention, the actress was very offended at the idea and felt that it was insulting to be compared to Lopez at all. In fact, Eva even felt that her approach to acting was more serious than Lopez's in a major way, and added that J-Lo manages her career like a business as opposed to caring about her art. Quote, "I would like to think I will have a more serious career than J-Lo. We may be both of Latin origin, but that's where the comparisons stop. She manages her career like the head of a big corporation, whereas the only thing I care about is becoming the best actress possible." While Mendes has made it clear that she never respected J-Lo's career, at least her comments don't sound too personal and were probably made because she was just sick and tired of constantly being compared to the other Latina actress. Number 10, Mariah Carey. This celebrity feud is legendary, so it's only fair that we start off with this one. J-Lo and Mariah Carey have been at each other's throats since the early 2000s. In fact, most people remember the iconic line that Mariah told a German reporter, "I don't know her." Although it sounds hilarious, Mariah has maintained her negative opinion of J-Lo all these years. For example, an interviewer once asked her what she thought about Beyonce and Jennifer Lopez, and she responded by saying that they don't even belong in the same category for a very specific reason. Well, it's hard. You can't really put those two people in the same category because one is in a really different generation. They just started singing later. But when you talk about Beyonce, I think she's wonderful. She's great. She's a talented person. But it seemed that she forgot to compliment J-Lo as well. A few years later, Carey spoke to Andy Cohen and doubled down on her comments. Quote, "I don't know her, what am I supposed to say?" It looks like it'll take a miracle for these two iconic performers to ever be on good terms. Number 9, Rihanna. There are several celebrities who can't stand Jennifer Lopez, but one of the biggest critics of the iconic singer is Rihanna. These two former best friends had a serious falling out in 2016 for the oldest reason in the book. they were fighting over the same guy. Before the feud began, Rihanna and J-Lo were friendly to each other and had no reason for animosity. But trouble started brewing right after Rihanna and Drake broke up. They had a summer fling that same year, which was pretty casual, but it definitely still counted. Girl code was broken when J-Lo started getting close with Drake almost immediately after. But the feud really became public when Jennifer posted a photo of her and Drake hanging out backstage at her show in Las Vegas with the caption #LoveHim. In fact, the two were even spotted hugging, and fans quickly realized that something very shady was happening. An inside source close to the star said that Riri felt like she had suffered the ultimate betrayal and called Jennifer's behavior desperate. It must have been accurate because in December of 2016, she suddenly unfollowed Lopez on Instagram. Number 8. Gloria Estefan. Cuban-American superstar Gloria Estefan was originally supposed to be performing at the 2020 Super Bowl alongside fellow Latina pop stars J-Lo and Shakira. But after seeing J-Lo's new documentary called Halftime, where the singer went on a rant about having to share the stage with Shakira, Gloria put her comments on blast. She didn't seem to agree that it was the worst idea ever to have the artist share the stage, and explained why Lopez got it wrong on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. Quote, "Look, this is the bottom line. You have very little time, like 12 minutes or something, to get things on and off the set. So could you do it with one person? Yes. But I think they wanted to throw a Miami and Latin extravaganza, and they tried to pack it in as much as possible." The Grammy Award winner also confirmed that she chose not to participate for a reason, seeing as J-Lo got so worked up about having two people perform. Quote, "Okay, and imagine what J-Lo would have said if I was the third. I literally would come out, done a shake your booty and out." But she went on to insist that it was their moment and that she didn't want to go on a diet in December anyway. Number 7. Nick Cannon. The Wild 'N Out star took a cue from his ex-wife Mariah Carey's famous phrase to throw shade at Jennifer Lopez during his guest appearance on The Wendy Williams Show. While discussing Hollywood crushes during the Hot Topic segment, the 41-year-old first named Carey, his ex-wife and mother to their two twins, Moroccan and Monroe. Quote, "Number 1, Mariah, the amazing mother, superstar, singer." He then went on to name Halle Berry and Naomi Campbell as his second and third choices. A producer then suggested J-Lo as an option, and he just responded with, "I don't know her." After the audience erupted into laughter, the host added, "That was a joke for the lambs. Shout out to the lambs," as Carey refers to her fans as the Lamely. Cannon made it clear who he supports in the ongoing battle of the divas, and naturally he sided with Carey, so we can't really fault him for that. It's been a bit of a running joke for years that Mariah wasn't kidding and didn't actually know J-Lo personally when she gave that interview, but it was too late to clear the air, as the classic "I don't know her" line has gone down in history as one of the best ways to shade someone. Number 6. Rosie Perez. Both Jennifer Lopez and Rosie Perez have served as inspirations to the Latin community for over 2 decades, but they haven't always gotten along. They met back in 1991 during an open casting call for In Living Color. At the time, Perez was the show's choreographer, and Lopez was auditioning to become a member of the dance troupe known as the Fly Girls. Her audition was unsuccessful, but Perez saw a star quality in J-Lo and actually pulled some strings to get her in. But after she was in the group, it became clear that Lopez didn't get along with her fellow dancers. According to Perez, she was labeled as a diva right away. "All of the girls were coming into my office and complaining how she was manipulating wardrobe, makeup, and me, all to her advantage." Perez said that at first she didn't believe it, but then J-Lo screamed at her saying, "I know I'm good, I'm better than any of these girls and you know it." What's worse is, after J-Lo left the show and made it big in the music industry, she went on talk shows trashing her former choreographer. Perez also implied that J-Lo ghosted her. Quote, "I called her up, she wouldn't pick up. Frustrated, I left her an irate message on her answering machine. Instead of calling me back and hashing it out like friends do, she went on a major talk show and reiterated my lashing."
Rihanna and J-Lo started feuding right around the time that J-Lo was seen getting cozy with Rihanna's ex, Drake. This all happened in 2016 when J-Lo and Drake took a photo backstage at J-Lo's concert. Once the photos came out, everyone assumed that they were dating, which probably got the attention of his exes. A lot of fans felt the whole thing was most likely a publicity stunt, but Rihanna took the rumors pretty seriously and lashed out online because of it. A source said at the time that Rihanna suffered, quote, the ultimate betrayal and dubbed Lopez desperate and a traitor. This was because Rihanna and J-Lo were really tight at one point, and Rihanna even got support from J-Lo during rough times with Drake. Then in December of 2016, Rihanna unfollowed J-Lo on Instagram, making her stance very clear. Jenna Dewan. When the pair started alongside each other on World of Dance, they seemed like they got along great. Lopez was a producer and a judge, while Dewan was a host and mentor on the show. But sources revealed that when the camera stopped rolling, the women hated each other. One source said about their relationship, quote, Jenna can't stand Jen's over-the-top theatrical fakery. Jen never fails to ham it up when the cameras are rolling, and she hijacks the show. It seems she'd prefer if Jenna just stayed in the background. The insider continued that J-Lo is a micromanager who tells everyone else what to do. Because of all her input, Jenna felt excluded and felt like her voice was not heard. Although there is a chance that this feud is not accurate because when Dewan's team was asked about the feud rumors, they denied them. Ojani Noah. Jennifer Lopez has been married 3 times before. Her first and shortest marriage was to Cuban waiter Ojani Noah. Although their relationship ended in 1998, it's clear that Noah cannot stand her, and whenever asked about Lopez, he does not hold back his negative feelings. Back in 2006, he was actually set to release a juicy tell-all book about Lopez called The Unknown Truth, a passionate portrait of a serial thriller. But before it was set to be published, Lopez was able to stop it with a lawsuit. She argued that publishing the book broke their confidentiality agreement, and the courts agreed. From that lawsuit, she won $545,000 in damages, and Noah was forbid from criticizing or casting in a negative light or otherwise disparaging Lopez. Noah's name was brought up once again when he threatened to leak an intimate tape of the two of them on their honeymoon. Lopez then filed a $10 million lawsuit against him. When asked why the relationship ended, Noah blamed Lopez, saying, quote, I was looking forward to being with her for the rest of my life. It didn't happen. She made the choice of her career instead of me. And finally, Jennifer Lopez herself. Nobody has done more to warn us about J-Lo's sketchy behavior than herself, and some of the things she's done in the past are too terrible to ignore. Back when she tried to score a role in competition with actress Claire Danes, J-Lo said some harsh things about her competition, saying that Claire Danes does the quote, same thing with every character she does. Then Lopez bashed Winona Ryder, saying that she was not a big fan of her work. And finally, Lopez took aim at Gwyneth Paltrow, saying, quote, tell me what she's been in. I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in. Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work. Then in a different interview, Lopez decided to take aim at Madonna, specifically bashing Madonna's attempt at acting. Quote, do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do, so I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act. I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft. Aside from dishing out unnecessary shade to other celebrities, Lopez also has a reputation for being incredibly rude to service people. One United Airlines employee told the press how much of a diva she was during her flight. Apparently, he asked if she wanted a drink, and she replied, quote, I just said, what can I get you to drink? But Jennifer refused to even acknowledge me. She turned her head away and told her personal assistant, please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime. Even though the stewardess was trying to serve her what she wanted, she refused to look, and made her assistant speak for her. It's so ridiculous and an unnecessary power play. But this interaction is nothing compared to the maid that was fired for asking J-Lo for an autograph. The maid later spoke with media and said she asked J-Lo's 2 assistants, who rejected the autograph. Then a day later, the hotel said that Lopez complained about the incident, and that maid was fired.
Coming in number 10 today, we have the Grammys argument. Seems like one TikToker is shutting down all the speculation that Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez seem to be upset with each other at the Grammys, probably to gain clout for her page, but whatever works, as she went on to share her experience as a seat filler at the Sunday show, where she sat in a temporary vacant seat next to the stars. While a video shows the couple having a little argument at the table, the TikToker would then say that there was more to the story as to why Ben was looking a little gloomy at the event. When the TikToker explained the situation, she would say, J-Lo was showing Ben Affleck her phone when she was like, oh my god honey, look at this meme circulating about you. And apparently Ben was like, oh god, this again. Other than that moment, apparently the couple was actually really lovey-dovey throughout the show, and that it never made her think that the couple was headed towards a divorce. However, in the video where it showed Jennifer looking at Ben telling him to stop, look more friendly, look motivated, prove otherwise, and it has us all wondering what he may have whispered in her ear that made her snap, and we really need to interview everyone around them to get to the bottom of this question. Number 9. Schedules and family. Trouble is already brewing in JLo's and Ben Affleck's relationship, and their hectic schedules could be the reason behind it, as it has forced them to spend a huge chunk of time apart. An inside source has lifted the lid on the couple's whirlwind romance, which has caused them to claim that the sudden change of Ben and Jennifer being miles apart has taken a toll on their relationship, even before the two got married just weeks leading up to the wedding, as both of their children started to feel unsettled. But the real factor that caused the tension between the two stars is their hectic schedules. With both having pretty successful careers, it has forced them to spend a huge chunk of their time apart, which has left Jennifer in tears at times as she misses Ben so much. The couple has also had to deal with the stress that comes with merging two families together, and now that the stress has started to form tensions between them. And while the world has been delighted at the fact that they got back together after almost 2 decades, their hectic schedules and family could lead to the ultimate breakup Hollywood has ever seen. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to that channel. Number 8. Motorcycle collection. Post-honeymoon things are quickly beginning to turn sour between Ben and Jennifer, as the newlyweds have been at odds and have been fighting non-stop over everything from Ben's bad habit to his clothing choices. However, back in October, Radar Online would learn that JLo even took a jab at her husband when she decided to get rid of Ben's beloved motorcycle collection. An inside source would then reveal to the media outlet that JLo even had Ben's most prized motorbike collection cleared out while they were away without even telling him, as she thought it would be unsafe to do so. So she decided to completely blindside Ben on the matter. After Ben found out about the matter, he and JLo got into a pretty epic fight, which caused JLo to yell at him, and she even pointed her finger, which caused the insider to tell the outlet, makes people wonder if she mistakes him for a dog. Number 7. Not wearing a wedding ring? Back in January, according to rumors that were making headlines on social networks, they would claim that Ben no longer wears the engagement ring he has with Jennifer Lopez, which would leave fans to question if the pair was headed towards a divorce sometime soon. And to intensify these rumors even more, the actor would soon be shown hiding his left hand from the paparazzi while he was captured walking in the city of Los Angeles with an iced coffee wearing a blue puffer jacket. Not to mention, the actor could also be seen rocking a depressed look as he wore glasses and hid his hand in his pocket. This would then start to generate all kinds of comments on social media networks, since the couple celebrated not 1 but 2 weddings to celebrate their union. And now they are already making headlines as inside sources claim things aren't going so well between them. But being caught without your wedding ring isn't exactly a good look. Number 6. Getting sober. Back in January, a video would start to go viral on TikTok after it showed Ben Affleck talking about his addiction with alcohol in the past, while he went on to protest to Jennifer that he hasn't been drinking when they attended a party. In the clip, it would show Ben and Jennifer attending an after party for the Hollywood premiere of JLo's new movie, Shotgun Wedding, on January 18th. As Jennifer's hit track, Let's Get Loud, is heard playing in the background, Jennifer is seen holding a wine glass as Ben yells over the music, "I didn't drink anything, okay?" Jennifer is then seen lifting the glass while maintaining eye contact with Ben as she cautiously takes a drink before placing it down, as her husband shouts at Jen. As the video has started to go viral, it has sparked a major debate among users, and a number of users would slam Jennifer as they suggested that she was being unsupportive to Affleck by drinking, while others claimed that she was just testing the drink to see if there actually was anything in it, as she was worried Ben is falling back into his old alcohol addiction habits, and she's scared he might enter into a rehab program again soon.
The actor has been on a decades-long journey of trying to control his substance use issues. His own father battled alcohol and its presence in his life. In 1997, on the heels of rave reviews for Good Will Hunting, Ben decided to quit drinking for the first time. Quote, "I just wanted to stop. I started regretting some things I did when I was drunk. But sadly, it didn't end up working out for him, and Ben would soon revert to his old ways. He'd been in and out of rehab for years, including a stay in 2017 and in 2018. In fact, the 2018 stay was when Jennifer Garner, to whom he was divorced at the time, drove him to the hospital despite them being separated and Ben being with another woman. She's a good person who genuinely saw Ben as a tragic case of both parental pitfalls and environmental stress combining to create bad habits that inadvertently harm those around him. She staged an intervention with Ben, who would sadly suffer another relapse after a year of being sober. When speaking about his relapse, he stated, quote, "My family history. The legacy of that is quite powerful and something that's hard to shake." I think, in turn, a lot of celebrities understand the pressure of the spotlight. To genuinely hate Ben Affleck for reasons other than being kind of a mediocre actor is to vilify those living with addictions and depression. In interviews, he stated that he feels more concerned about what his kids see and how they perceive their own dad rather than what we see as an audience. Our voyeuristic tendencies to look in on his life shouldn't mean anything in the face of making sure that his kids remain happy and know that their father loves them. Quote, "I got to a place where the public perception was so different from who I am that I just stopped reading and stopped caring. But then, as my kids got older and started seeing the internet themselves, that's the difficult part. Even the sad Affleck meme, that was funny to me. I mean, there's nobody who hasn't felt that way in a junket. But when my kids see it and I think, oh, are they going to think that their dad is fundamentally sad or they have to worry about me? That's really rough. And I think, honestly, that's where our attention needs to lie. Ben shouldn't be vilified by people who don't really know who he is, and feeling depressed and anxious should not be seen as him being a bad person because he's not. When he was on the Howard Stern show, his words were once again manipulated to paint the actor in a bad light. Quote, "I had gone on and said how much we respect each other," in terms of him and Jennifer Garner, "and cared about each other, and cared about our kids, and put them first, and went through our stuff. And they said that I blamed my ex-wife for my alcoholism, and that I was trapped in this marriage. Just made me out to be the worst, most insensitive, stupid, awful guy. I don't believe that. It's the exact opposite of who I am and what I believe. And I would never want my kids to think I would ever say a bad word about their mom." Ben so obviously needs help, and Jennifer is still trying to get him that help. And I hope J-Lo is too. He very obviously cares about his family, and if his own ex-wife is still committed to helping him out of the trenches, I don't see why the internet has to butt its head in and make everything worse. The pressure of a divorce is enough to make normal, everyday folks turn to substance use. Couple that with intense media scrutiny and a penchant for mental health issues, and it becomes a recipe for self-destructive disaster. Ben is an extremely eloquent person who himself has spoken about the shame he feels towards causing his divorce. Quote, "I drank relatively normally for a long time. What happened was I started drinking more and more when my marriage was falling apart. This was in 2015, 2016. My drinking, of course, created more marital problems." I feel that there is a genuine fault in Ben for what he did with the interview host, and if you're going to continue to hate him, do so for that. He was in the wrong and his apology was less than adequate. But to reason your negative feelings towards the actor because of the direct influence that unhealthy coping mechanisms have brought onto his life is extremely unfair. Only with love and care will people with substance issues be able to dig themselves out of the hole they've created. Ben himself echoes this sentiment, quote, "It's not particularly healthy for me to obsess over the failures, the relapses, and beat myself up. I've certainly made mistakes. I've certainly done things that I regret. But you've got to pick yourself up, learn from it, learn some more, try to move forward." Celebrities shouldn't have to warn us about Ben Affleck. We know he's going through hard times, and self-destruction often comes at the cost of destroying relationships with others as well. Shame and anger towards someone who's already on their knees is never the right approach.
Madonna. Superstar Madonna has been in the game since the 80s and established plenty of enduring relationships with other entertainers who've come before and after her. But that doesn't mean she hasn't had her moments where she's thrown someone the cold shoulder. In this case, Jennifer Lopez definitely deserved it because she dissed Madonna's whole career in that infamous Movie Line interview in 1998. Lopez was 27 at the time and fresh off the success of her film Selena. It was then that she decided to boast about her own talent in comparison to Madonna. Quote, "Do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. Do I think she's a great actress? No." She also added, quote, "Acting is what I do. So I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act. I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft." Those comments were pretty bad considering that Madonna has been a star for a lot longer than J-Lo, and at the time of the interview, there was almost no comparison between them. It seems like Madonna held on to those remarks for quite some time, because in 2009, she went on David Letterman and implied that Lopez tries to copy her by studying her looks on stage. Gwyneth Paltrow. At the time, Lopez was still fresh off the success of Selena and Anaconda, and she was explaining how she felt she was grouped into what she called the bottom of the A-list actresses. Paltrow was a star on the rise at the time, with many films under her belt such as Seven, Great Expectations, and Shakespeare in Love, which earned her a Best Actress Oscar in 1999. When Lopez was asked about Paltrow, she almost seemed to laugh and made it clear that she didn't take her fellow actress's career seriously. Quote, "Tell me what she's been in? I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in. Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work. If you have the goods, there's nothing to be afraid of. If somebody doesn't have the goods, they're insecure. I don't have that problem." Although Paltrow took the high road and never publicly criticized the star, when J-Lo started dating her ex-boyfriend Ben Affleck, she was reportedly very upset about the pairing and said that she didn't think Jennifer is right for him. It's easy to see why she felt that way. Scott Barnes. If you want to see just how long Lopez can hold a grudge, just ask celebrity makeup artist Scott Barnes, who's worked for her for the past 20 years. It's important to note that not all of J-Lo's feuds and shade throwing has been directed towards the rich and famous. The star essentially banished her longtime makeup artist Scott Barnes after rumors surfaced that someone had leaked info to the press about her and Mark Anthony's secret marriage ceremony. Speaking on the Jeff Probst show in 2012, Barnes revealed that the woman he considered a friend cast him aside for an entire year until it was confirmed that someone else was responsible for the leak. Quote, "It was like I had the plague." Interestingly enough, J-Lo did end up giving Barnes his old job back again after learning the truth, but apparently failed to apologize for being so cold and ruthless, which sounds exactly like something she would do. The celebrity makeup artist, who's also lent his talents to Hollywood stars including Gwyneth Paltrow, added, quote, "I went right back to work with her, and we just never spoke about it again, which is even weirder." The funny thing is, Barnes would go on to work with her for another 6 years and insisted that they remained on good terms, despite the fact that she ghosted him. He wasn't even guilty of the leak, but she cut him out of her life for a whole year. Talk about insanity. Salma Hayek. In that same interview from 1998, Lopez did not enjoy being compared to Salma Hayek. Quote, "We're in two different realms. She's a sexy bombshell, and those are the kinds of roles that she does. I do all kinds of different things." And as if crashing her career wasn't enough, the supremely confident Lopez also claimed that Hayek had been telling a few lies about the fact that she had been offered the lead role of Selena, the 1997 film based on the life of slain Texas-born superstar Selena Quintanilla. She went on to say, quote, "It makes me laugh when she says she got offered Selena, which is an outright lie. If that's what she does to get herself publicity, then that's her thing." The comments were incredibly rude and ignorant of J-Lo, even though she claimed they were taken out of context in an interview that she did a few years later. But in 2020, Salma Hayek opened up to Andy Cohen on Watch What Happens Live, saying that in the 90s she was offered the role of Selena before Jennifer Lopez, but she turned it down. Quote, "They offered it to me like a week after she died. It was a little distasteful. They were already planning on making this movie." So it goes to show you how gracious Salma Hayek is, because she wanted to be respectful to Selena's passing.
At number 5, we have former NBC World of Dance TV host and mentor Jenna Dewan, who sat on the panel with then executive producer Jennifer. Although the two dancers and celebrities seemed fine during the 2017 reality dance competition tapings, their animosity behind the scenes apparently ran deep. An unnamed outlet source once stated on Jenna's behalf that Jenna, quote, "can't stand Jen's over-the-top theatrical fakery," adding that Jen never fails to ham it up when the cameras are rolling and she hijacks the show. It seems she'd prefer if Jenna just stayed in the background. Every situation, even off camera, is micromanaged by J-Lo, and Jenna feels very excluded. This alleged feud seemed to be squashed fairly quickly though when Gossip Cop reached out to a show producer and one of Jenna's reps and was informed that the reported beef was misleading. However, given Jennifer's past, can we really be sure of this? list. At number 4, we have actress Rosie Perez. She and Jennifer apparently had lifelong ties with one another that seemed great on the outside. But both Puerto Rican dancers raised in New York have zero love for each other, according to Rosie's 2014 Handbook for an Unpredictable Life memoir. In it, Rosie discusses working on In Living Color with Jennifer in a wickedly horrible light. Quote, "All the girls were coming into my office complaining how she was manipulating wardrobe, makeup, and me all to her advantage." Despite Jennifer dipping from ILC after 2 seasons, Rosie stuck with her words of Jennifer supposedly keeping the flame of their feud burning for years after they parted. The words on the pages of Rosie's book portrayed Jennifer to be a two-faced person who would crap on Rosie one minute but then act super sweet like nothing happened between them the next. At number 3, we have artist Rihanna, who seemed to be unimpressed by Jennifer after the star posted herself chilling with Rihanna's on-again off-again reported love interest Drake backstage at her 2016 Winter Vegas show. Naturally, Jennifer's snap captioned, "Look who rolled up at my show tonight to say hi, #love him," sparked massive dating rumors. And it probably didn't help that Jennifer uploaded a follow-up pic of her and Drake bear hugging and looking overly comfortable snuggling up. While many were unconvinced about the headlines, Rihanna was seemingly not here for any of it, which is why she reportedly went on to dub Jennifer as a desperate traitor. According to an unnamed insider who spoke to Touch, Rihanna had felt like she experienced the ultimate betrayal by Jennifer, since they once had a tight-knit bond where Rihanna could seek solace in Jennifer for her relationship. Rihanna did not publicly address their rumored issues, however, she did seem to throw some shade when she suddenly hit the unfollow button on JLo's Insta. At number 2, we have Nicki and Jennifer's heated back and forth jabs that started with an exchange during a 2012 American Idol episode, where Nicki performed and Jennifer was a judge. When the female rapper completed her set, she boldly asked, "I was hoping maybe I could come back and be a guest judge. JLo, can you scoot over a bit?" To which Jennifer immediately quipped, "I don't know if there's enough room for the both of us." Nicki seemed to hold on to that comment when she attempted to smooth things over back with The Hollywood Reporter, saying, "She didn't seem to be having it, but she's gonna have it. We were just joking around." However, in 2015, things were still just as messy when Jennifer opened the American Music Awards performing a medley of songs which included Nicki's hit Anaconda. Nicki seemed to be unimpressed by her performance, as the camera gave away her emotionless expression, which told us everything we needed to know, as one fan hinted. Nicki came to Jennifer's defense at that point though, when she fired back with a tweet to a fan explaining, "I'm looking at my own face on the screen when I'm looking to the right. I turn back and look at her." At number 1, we have the iconic "I don't know her" rivalry that has been carried out for years now. This beef has been ongoing since the early 2000s, with both stars being repeatedly questioned on whether or not they actually like each other. It seems they can't really decide though. Host Danny Cohen brought up their beef on his show in 2014, where Jennifer nonchalantly played the situation off with, "I don't have a feud against her at all. I've read things she said about me that were not the greatest, but we don't know each other. I would love to meet her and I would love to be friends with her." However, she told Wendy Williams the exact opposite in 2016 for her show, explaining, "She's forgetful, I guess. We've met many times." Andy went straight to the source to speak with Mariah that same year, and in response, Mariah reiterated, "I don't know her. What am I supposed to say?" Jennifer of course took this as major shade, and when people were flaming Mariah for her quote disastrous New Year's Eve performance that winter, Jennifer threw some shade of her own by liking a post referring to Mariah's performance as a train wreck. It seems Mariah got the final laugh though, because she made it rain shade in her 2020 memoir The Meaning of Mariah Carey, where she revealed her feud with Jennifer on top of slamming Jennifer's ex-husband and former CEO of Sony Music, Tommy Mottola, for allegedly attempting to ruin her career with Jennifer's help. Mariah claimed Tommy tried to sabotage the glitter soundtrack Firecracker, and pushed that the movie's lead single Lover did not go unnoticed by Sony executives. Mariah also added that Sony rushed to make a single for another female entertainer on their label, but rather than naming Jennifer in the allegation in her sampling of Firecracker on I'm Real that same year, Mariah just concluded with her infamous comment, finishing her statement with, "After all that ish, Loverboy ended up being the best-selling single of 2001 in the United States."
First up, of course, we have Mariah Carey. Even if you're not familiar with many of JLo's feuds, I'm sure you know that Mariah Carey hates her. That's because Mariah has not been shy about throwing shade in her direction. These two have been feuding ever since JLo started to make music, and started to steal her shine. Then when Mariah was asked about Lopez in an interview, she famously replied, quote, "I don't know her." Years later, when Andy Cohen brought up the beef on his show Watch What Happens Live in 2014, Jennifer Lopez played the whole thing off, saying, quote, "I don't have a feud against her at all. I know from back in the day, I've read things that she said about me that were not the greatest, but we have never met. Like, we don't know each other. I would love to meet her, and I would love to be friends with her." But then JLo was a little more more savage on the Wendy Williams show when asked about the feud in 2016. Lopez said, quote, "She's forgetful, I guess, we've met so many times." But Carrie doubled down in another interview where she added that she still doesn't know Jennifer Lopez. When Mariah had a mishap of her own during a disastrous New Year's Eve performance, Lopez took a break from the high road and liked an extremely shady tweet about Mariah. The tweet said, quote, "Ever seen an accident you couldn't take your eyes away from? That was her tonight." If you're wondering where this feud started, it all goes back to Mariah's ex-husband and music executive, Tommy Mottola. After getting married in 1993, Carrie divorced Mottola in 1998 because he was very controlling. And to get back at her, Mottola started up J-Lo's career and did everything possible to make J-Lo a star, instead of Mariah. J-Lo sampled a number of Mariah-esque songs. There were even allegations she straight up copied some of Mariah's songs, but tried to make them more of a hit. All because of Mottola. But Mariah knows she still came out on top, adding, quote, "After all that shit, Loverboy ended up being the best-selling single of 2001 in the United States." So basically the whole feud is over career competition and the fact that Lopez was in cahoots with Carrie's controlling ex. Rosie Perez. You'd think that J-Lo and Rosie Perez would be great friends, considering how much they have in common. Both women are dancers, are Puerto Rican, and grew up in New York. But the pair are not close, and it would be more accurate to say that they actually hate each other. According to Perez's 2014 memoir, Handbook for an Unpredictable Life, she has plenty of negative stories to share about J-Lo. In her memoir, Perez shared a story from the set of In Living Color. She wrote about Lopez, quote, "All of the girls were coming into my office complaining how she was manipulating wardrobe, makeup, and me, all to her advantage," and added she was acting like, quote, "some ghetto b***, screaming and pounding her chest." J-Lo ended up leaving that show after 2 seasons, but the feud between the pair continued, and Perez claimed that Lopez would speak negatively about her whenever she got the chance. Even worse, Lopez was allegedly two-faced. She would talk trash behind Perez's back, but be nice to her face. Brandy. In the midst of the Mariah and J-Lo feud, Brandy publicly supported Mariah, making it clear she does not like J-Lo. In July of 2017, Brandy took to Instagram to share a photo of herself hugging Mariah Carey with the caption, #SheKnows Me. An obvious reference to Mariah's infamous "I don't know her" comment about J-Lo. All the comments were flooded with people speculating over the caption, and the consensus quickly became that the photo was a dig at J-Lo. However, Brandy later addressed the caption, writing, quote, "Oh my god, what happened? I swear to goodness, I didn't know what the fuss is about. I love this pic and now everyone thinks I'm throwing shade. At who? This is funny. Can't take this one down. I love this picture and whenever I'm throwing shade, it's not questionable, you know that I am." Later adding that Mariah does in fact know her. Mariah supported the post by commenting, quote, "I sure do." Even though Brandy is trying to convince us it's nothing shady, I honestly don't believe it. Next up, Nicki Minaj. It's long been rumored that Jennifer Lopez is a huge diva, and the fight that her and Nicki Minaj had while on American Idol brought up both of their diva sides. In 2012, Lopez was a judge on American Idol while Nicki came on to perform, and things got tense fast. After Nicki finished performing, she went over to the judges table and asked, quote, "I was hoping maybe I could come back and be a guest judge. J-Lo, can you scoot over a little bit?" J-Lo then responded, quote, "I don't know if there's enough room for both of us." Then Minaj took it up another notch backstage when she said, quote, "She didn't seem to be having it, but she's gonna have it." But she later added, quote, "We were just joking around." But it's clear the bad blood is still there. When Lopez performed at the 2015 AMAs, she sang a part of Minaj's song Anaconda. But I don't think Nicki got the memo that it was going to be happening, because when the camera panned to Nicki, she did not look happy. Fans totally saw the shade and started tweeting about it that night.
Number 5. Brandy. Brandy has had a public feud with Jennifer Lopez since 2017, and according to Kiwi Report, she made it clear that she supports Mariah Carey going against J-Lo too. Basically, she posted a photo of herself on Instagram hugging Carey with the hashtag #SheKnowsMe. The caption was super perfect and a great reference to that famous "I don't know her" comment. So the whole thing tells us that Brandy is totally teaming with Mariah. Brandy's post exploded on social media and Lopez fans immediately took offense to it. Mariah saw the backlash and chimed in to Brandy's photo, commenting with a simple "I sure do." But the singer was quick to defend herself from hate comments and edited the caption shortly after posting it with, quote, "Oh my god, what happened? I swear to goodness, I don't know what the fuss is about. I love this pic and now everyone thinks I'm throwing shade. At who? This is funny, can't take this one down. I love this picture and whenever I'm throwing shade, it's not questionable. You know that I am. She totally doubled down on dissing Jennifer and siding with Mariah, adding, quote, "Also, I've met her several times. Like the several seats that should be taken, she does know me." Number 4, Nicki Minaj. These two have allegedly been feuding since 2012. It all started when Nicki was performing on one particular episode of American Idol at the same time that JLo was sitting on the judge panel. In a rather awkward moment, Nicki asked if she could come back on the show as a guest judge and asked JLo to scoot over. As a Latina artist hit back, she said, "I don't know if there's room for both of us." It was one of those joking moments that seemed like there was something else behind it, but nevertheless the two seemed to be just joking around, even though Nicki told a reporter backstage, quote, "She didn't seem to be having it, but she's gonna have it." Okay, so now we're jumping to 2015 when fans swear that Nicki shaded JLo for performing her song at the American Music Awards. As she was performing a small part of Anaconda, the camera cut to Nicki in the audience looking less than happy with the rendition. The clip showed her emotionless face and made it seem like she didn't approve of the way her song was being used. Number 3, Ryan Seacrest. This incident gives Ryan every reason to hate JLo because it's pretty bad. Ryan Seacrest worked alongside the singer on American Idol and the two quickly became friends. But all that seemingly changed when the talk show host revealed that he flew down to Miami to celebrate her milestone 50th birthday, only to be denied entry at the door. Ouch. He recalled the whole story on Live with Kelly and Ryan and explained that he flew down from New York for only a few hours because he had to make it back in time for the next morning's show. But when he finally arrived, the doorman told him, "You're not on the list," to which he responded, "Clearly, there's a mistake. She invited me personally." But upon being denied, he checked the list and couldn't find his name. The doorman just asked him to wait, made a quick call, and was able to confirm that Seacrest was indeed on the guest list. But the host went on to say that he was the first person there and no one really got turned up until after he left. It would have certainly been a little embarrassing to say in the least. Number 2, Cameron Diaz. Throughout the years, Jennifer Lopez has been known to speak negatively about her fellow actors, and it looks like it may have come back to bite her. During an interview in the late 90s, JLo explained that Cameron Diaz was just a lucky model who was given opportunities. She did mention that Diaz can be good when directed, but Lopez's past comments about Cameron's career allegedly made things super awkward between them when they both had to buckle down and work together in the 2012 comedy What to Expect When You're Expecting. Several anonymous sources on the set of the film claimed that the two stars did not get along at all during the shoot. In fact, it was reported that Cameron said the singer was a nightmare to work with. Quote, "She even said that Jen should stick to her day job, meaning American Idol and singing." According to The Insider, JLo demanded to eat at specific times, no matter what, and stops working when it suits her, and she had her assistant run over to her with food. This is what allegedly drove Cameron crazy. Another source claimed that the co-stars actively avoided one another while filming, and tensions were thick. Number 1, Ojani Noah. The former couple were married on February 22nd, 1997, and got divorced barely 1 year later, in January of 1998. It was so long ago that you would think Ojani has moved on from the relationship, but apparently he's still holding on to a bit of resentment. In fact, Jennifer's former flame was out to make a buck off their brief marriage by trying to expose revealing videos from their honeymoon. Ojani was even hauled into court after he started planning a tell-all movie based on the revealing home footage called How I Married Jennifer Lopez, the JLo and Ojani Noah story. The result? Well, she sued him for a whopping $10 million and demanded a permanent court order blocking her ex from making any videos public. Ojani also threatened to write a tell-all book unless he was paid $5 million by the singer. His unpublished book alleges that JLo had multiple affairs, including one with Mark Anthony, during the 11 months that they were married. But a judge was not having it and awarded her $545,000 in damages and quashed the book, ruling that it violated a 2004 deal not to publish details of their relationship. Her team calls the movie an outrageous attempt to make money and received substantial compensation. So it's clear that he's still a little bit bitter.
First and foremost, Hillary Burton. Back in 2008, Hillary Burton, an actress in Lethal Weapon, had been a co-host for MTV's Total Request Live. The show was a daily music video countdown that ran for 10 years. On the show, she would interview various celebrities and ask them their opinions on music and catch up with their lives and stuff. Very casual hangout style interviews. Anyways, in an incident that was caught on video, Ben behaved extremely inappropriately towards Hillary. He grabbed her non-consensually and groped her. The video resurfaced in 2017 at the height of the Me Too movement, when one Twitter user posted, quote, "Affleck also grabbed Hillary Burton's breasts on TRL once. Everyone forgot though." The tweet got enough attention that Hillary herself saw it and replied, quote, "I didn't forget." In a later tweet, she recalled, quote, "I had to laugh back then so I wouldn't cry." She then thanked the user who posted the video and brought up the encounter. Quote, "Seriously, thank you for that. I was a kid." I guess she had felt that her situation with Ben was pretty much swept under the rug, which is pretty right, honestly. I had no idea about the story at all until 2017, and let's just say that Ben's apology left quite a bit to the imagination. He tweeted out, quote, "I acted inappropriately towards Miss Burton and I sincerely apologize." And that's it. I know when it comes to cases like this, people love to default to, oh, well, it was a long time ago. While I can see that just maybe being a proper excuse for certain situations, what is absolutely inexcusable is how one decides to address it. Ben's apology missed the mark, and when you do regret a situation, rectifying it is the only way to ethically right it. I'm not sure if anything went on behind closed doors between the two in the ways of an apology, but either way, as far as the public is concerned, not cool, Ben. Let's get into my second point, and what I would say is kind of a pivot from what the title of this video is, Ben as a person and the paparazzi. I mean, if we're being candid here, yeah, Ben has issues. That's obvious, anyone can see it. But honestly, all of these issues, while not excuses, can be explained by his very clear depression and deep mental health issues. A lot of people's grievances with him can be traced back to his dumb youth. He was cocky and full of attitude after coming off of the success of Good Will Hunting. When he began dating Jennifer Lopez, one of the biggest stars in the world at that time, the media frenzy that resulted completely violated their privacy. Suddenly, everyone was taking photos of the couple in intimate situations, and stalking was so heavily normalized that we still see the effects of lecherous paparazzi activities to this day. That all started from their relationship. If you couple that with a string of mediocre movies, people just started to hate Ben Affleck. There was a bit he did with a Quebecois interviewer where he was being overly flirtatious with her. They had agreed to do it to promote a show she was hosting. She even stated that it was all a hoax, but people chose to ignore it in favor of trying to find a valid reason to hate on him, besides him being kind of a mediocre actor with serious issues.
Number 5, the past. Today it seems like the world can't stop talking about Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's reunion, but it seems like the pair's past might be coming back to haunt them, as neither can trust each other due to their long history. When the pair first broke up after it was hinted Ben had some major chemistry with his on-screen partner, Jennifer Garner, Ben would later call off his engagement with Lopez and marry Garner. And in some interviews, it would prove that Ben causes more harm to the woman around him, as he likes to later gush about them to the press, and he often talks about how much he regrets causing them harm, until everyone forgets how awful he truly was to them. As J.Lo claimed that the two broke up because of having a public relationship, it was really hard on them, she would also refer to the relationship as self-destructive, and that Ben crushed her soul when he pulled out of the wedding that she took so much time to plan, just to hit rock bottom when she found out he got Garner just shortly after. Not to mention, Ben even chirped her to the press after he told the press that he blamed all his troubles on J.Lo and that Garner saved him, but now the tables have turned. It makes you wonder what part of their past still haunts them. Number 4, bad habits. While Jennifer always tries to understand and support Ben through all of his problems, when she asks Ben to support and understand her, the actor simply just acts indifferent and only focuses on his feelings without caring about what his wife feels. Jennifer, as a result, has been left feeling a little sad because she fears that Ben might even fall back into his same old patterns. Ben, who has already gone to rehab several times due to various vices, has overcome a lot, but now he is smoking heavily, and this is apparently a situation that Jennifer is not really pleased with. It's gotten to the point where she's even had to talk to Ben's team, where she has urged them not to give him any more cigarettes, but he has ignored his team and his wife on the matter, and he's even been caught out in public sneaking in some smoke time, which has caused J.Lo to be on edge, and she is now at the point she is losing hope on Ben fixing his bad habits, and that this could be one of the reasons she files for divorce shortly. Number 3, too hopeful. You know when they say if something is meant to be, it will come back to you? Well, that's exactly what happened to Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. And while the couple seems to be true believers when it comes to that statement, they seem to be a little too hopeful when it comes to the relationship this time around. When the two first got back together, they saw the spark they knew they both had still, and they dove quickly back into their relationship. 17 years after, they went their separate ways and called off their engagement in 2004. And since they have gotten remarried, they spend a lot of their time talking about what went wrong in their past, which is hashtag a giant red flag. While both are really hopeful that their relationship this time around will last, as they want to spend more time putting in effort, and that they believe that they are both more mature and are on the same page, it just seems like they are too invested in each other's lives and they're focusing on all the problems instead of all the good that can come with this relationship. Number 2, the long honeymoon phase. All good things can't last forever, and it seems like JLo and Ben have finally reached the end of their extremely long honeymoon phase, which lasted longer than any other honeymoon phase. While he was caught whispering something into his wife's ear right before, JLo could be seen jerking away and snapping at him after a lip reader confirmed Jennifer said, "Stop, look more friendly, look motivated." Ben then responded by saying, "I might." However, just before their public spat, they were in a 6-month honeymoon phase that just looked too unrealistic because no one is that gooey in love and happy. And if you are, something is lying deep within and you're hiding it, and that's the scary part. It's like dating someone you know at the beginning and how they're like really nice and you know something's up, and then 6 months later they're a completely different person. And coming in at number 1 today, we have the gloomy reactions. Ever since Ben got with JLo, he's been looking pretty gloomy, and every time he's caught out in public looking a little upset, he starts to go viral as his fans try to figure out what might be making Ben seem sad. You would think after dating Jenny on the block you would be pretty upbeat, but just days after tying the knot, Ben was seen with JLo looking pretty angry, like someone had stolen his lunch money or even asked him to physically growl out loud. But since the emergence of Sad Affleck started to go viral last January, the meme hasn't shown signs of slowing down, and it's clear something concerning is going on with the star.
At number 10, we have Jennifer's dismissal of bad teacher actress Cameron Diaz when she made the comment that she believes Cameron is a quote lucky model who's been given a lot of opportunities, and how she wishes she would have done more with them. In turn, Cameron made a statement that Jennifer's behavior on set was rather cold, as she pretty much ignored her. She also described Jennifer as being someone who was hard to work with. As a clapback, Cameron further pushed that JLo should stick to her day job of singing. However, in the same Jennifer interview, it wasn't just Cameron that she came for. She also took shots at fellow actresses Gwyneth Paltrow and Winona Ryder. For Gwyneth, Jennifer said, "Tell me what she's been in? I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in. Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work." On Winona, Jennifer recalled, "I was never a big fan of hers. In Hollywood, she's revered. She gets nominated for Oscars, but I've never heard anyone in the public or among my friends say, 'Oh, I love her.'" At number 9, we have radio show host and interviewer Howard Stern, whose reasonings for not liking JLo comes in many forms. For one, he hates her music. Howard's typical musical vibe is 90s rock and grunge rather than early 2000s pop. But not only does Howard not enjoy Jennifer's music, he's also bashed it in the form of jokes on numerous occasions, despite his attraction to fairly few pop songs in the past. In summary, it was Howard Stern's show co-host Robin who made claims while they watched her on the floor music video that radio stations were hesitant to play the song since she hadn't been charting for a while. Apparently, to further this point, he described that the relevance of JLo being a judge on American Idol kind of forced the song down consumers' throats, and Howard later accused Jennifer of being self-absorbed because the single debuted on American Idol. Howard further bashed her Super Bowl performance and even ridiculed Jimmy Fallon's praises for it as well. There was also the incident where Howard claims he spent the entirety of his run-in with his friend Mark Anthony, who was married to Jennifer at the time, being completely ignored. This further pushed the established reputation of Jennifer being a snotty diva. Howard's last straw was Jennifer's interview, where she was asked if she found Howard attractive, and remained silent while expressing a puking expression. Since then, Howard has not let up on the insults about her attitude, music, and business choices whenever she's brought up on his show. At number 8, we have Gloria Estefan's shade to Jennifer for her halftime documentary spiel about performing with Shakira for the 2020 Super Bowl. When Gloria admitted she chose not to participate with no regrets, she blasted Jennifer's comments about their experience when she sat down with Andy Cohen on Watch What Happens Live in June. Quote, "Imagine what JLo would have said if I was third. I literally would come out, done, shake your booty, and out. It was their moment. Plus, I didn't want to go on a diet in December." This was in light of JLo's reaction to Shakira co-headlining the sports event. Benny Medina said in the film that it was insulting of the Super Bowl to request 2 Latino artist when one had already historically done the work. Yet Jennifer was the one who was upset about splitting her time on stage, stating that they only had 5 minutes to sing all their desired songs accurately. Quote, "We have to have our singing moments. This is the worst idea in the world to have 2 people do the Super Bowl." While Jennifer and Shakira communicated about their upcoming performance, Jennifer added, "They said 12 minutes. I got a good confirmation that we could have an extra minute or 2, so now we're at like 13-14 minutes. I think Shakira, what we should have is you should have half the time and I should. If it was going to be a double headliner, they should have given us 20 minutes. That's what they should have effing done." At number 7, we have singer Brandy, who was apparently picking sides when the Lopez-Carey feud was at its peak. Brandy had shared an Instagram photo of her embracing Mariah in 2017 with a short 3-word caption of #SheKnows Me. Brandy's followers were on her like water as soon as the post was uploaded, speculating that the caption had everything to do with Mariah's famously memed "I don't know her." In response, Brandy denied there being any drama, rearranging the caption to then say, "I swear I don't know what the fuss is about. I love this pic and everyone thinks I'm throwing shade. At who? This is funny. Can't take this one down. I love this picture. And whenever I'm throwing shade, it's not questionable. You know that I am." Brandy also continued unapologetically with, "I've met her several times like the several seats that should be taken. She does know me." And if things couldn't get any shadier, Mariah made sure to clear things up in Brandy's comments with a simple "I sure do." At number 6, we have JLo's first husband, Ohani Noah. Despite their marriage being short-lived and ending as of 1998, it seems Ohani still can't stand Miss Jenny from the block. Their 9-month marriage apparently wasn't all that great, as Ohani had been working hard to slander his ex-wife's name on a number of occasions. Back in 2006, Ohani published a tell-all titled The Unknown Truth, a passionate portrait of a serial thriller. JLo halted this project with a lawsuit and claimed that Ohani was breaking their confidentiality agreement. Jennifer won $545,000 in damages, and Ohani was given a court date which forbid him from criticizing, denigrating, casting in a negative light, or otherwise disparaging Jennifer. In the next 3 years, Ohani threw himself back into news outlets when he made threats to release a sexually suggestive video of Jennifer that was filmed during their honeymoon and resulted in another $10 million lawsuit. In 2016, his appearance on $1 Million Matchmaker saw Ohani claiming he loaded the blame on Jennifer for their split and how he was looking forward to spending a lifetime with her before she chose her career over him.
Number 5. Insensitive comments. To give you some background on why everyone felt that JLo was trashing belly dancing. So, a part of the 2020 Super Bowl performance featured young dancers sitting in glowing cages, which many people assume represented the immigrant children in cages at the US border. But she apparently had a hard time convincing the NFL to do this, and said, quote, "I'm trying to give you something with substance, not just us out there shaking our effing asses and effing belly dancing." She went on to say that she wants something real, something that's gonna make a statement, something that's gonna say we belong here and we have something to offer. Now, if you're confused about why that was so controversial, essentially she compared the art of belly dancing to just shaking your butt for the hell of it. In fact, that particular line was shared across Twitter and people were big mad. It was just a little culturally insensitive to say, considering the fact that the dance has long been associated with Middle Eastern cultures, and it's something that Shakira has become known for, using it to channel her father's Lebanese Syrian Arab roots. Number 4. Avoiding the Bronx. This one, train wreck of an ad campaign, led people to openly mock both Chrysler and Jennifer Lopez. The central premise of the ad was that sometimes JLo will drive through her old hood in the South Bronx in a Fiat 500 just to stay inspired. Although it sounds ridiculous, the marketing campaign obviously tried to draw on the singer's famous Jenny from the Block era. Most people recognize the song in which she pays tribute to growing up in the Bronx, which had been a solid part of her image since the 90s. In fact, the singer even titled her debut album On the 6, which is a clear reference to the New York subway train. A press release at the time even stated that she would be traveling through the streets of Manhattan to the Bronx where she grew up. But the ad backfired when the Smoking Gun reported that Lopez never actually went to the Bronx to film the ad and that a body double stand-in was used instead, calling it, quote, "such a breathtaking assemblage of urban cliches," and that was putting it lightly. Number 3. The movie line interview. The infamous movie line interview in 1998 that could have almost ruined JLo's career was truly worse than you can imagine. She was 27 at the time and fresh off the success of her film Selena. She basically decided to trash all the other celebrities that were big at the time and tried to trivialize their career and contribution to the industry. In fact, when asked about Madonna, she actually said, quote, "Do I think she's a great performer? Yeah. Do I think she's a great actress? No. Acting is what I do. So I'm harder on people when they say, oh, I can do that, I can act. And I'm like, hey, don't spit on my craft." It was so ironic because JLo would go on to do both music and acting for the rest of her career, and critics also trashed her acting on the big screen. Also, at the time, Madonna had been a star for a lot longer than JLo, so there was no real comparison there. And when Gwyneth Paltrow was brought up, Jennifer almost seemed to laugh and made it clear that she didn't take her fellow actress's career seriously. Quote, "Tell me what she's been in. I swear to God, I don't remember anything she was in. Some people get hot by association. I heard more about her and Brad Pitt than I ever heard about her work." Yikes. Number 2, accusations of racism. 20 years ago, Lopez was approaching full actualization as an entertainer, but a single from her second album, JLo, almost derailed her career entirely. The Murder Inc. remix of I'm Real, which features Ja Rule and Own Radio in 2001, was ruined by the N-bomb that she drops in her final verse. The issue was that the song was an instant hit, so much so that 10 years later, in 2011, Billboard gave it the 6th spot on its 40 biggest duets of all time list. But rightfully so, people were outraged by her use of the loaded term, not only because she's a Latina artist, but at her level of success, where she has a platform and sets an example to young fans. Using such a derogatory word is at best offensive. But as the accusations of racism started to mount against the star, she eventually spoke out to defend her actions on the Today Show. Quote, "For anyone who thinks or suggests that I'm racist is really absurd and hateful to me." Although many people think this is not an excuse, it was later revealed that the track was actually written by Ja Rule himself, and apparently he encouraged her to say it. And number 1, fired a maid. This one is really indefensible. Jennifer Lopez allegedly got a German hotel maid fired for asking for an autograph. Fredo Daj was a staff member at the luxury Melia Hotel in Dusseldorf, Germany, during Lopez's stay in 2012. She was a big fan of JLo and worked up the courage to knock on the star's hotel door in Dusseldorf to ask for an autograph, and was promptly turned away. Prey claims that she was relieved from her post the day after the incident. She told The Sun, quote, "I am an incredibly big fan, so I took all my courage and rang the doorbell to get an autograph, but I was rejected by 2 assistants at the door. A day later, the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said that Miss Lopez had complained. I was fired right there on the phone." If the incident really happened, it's hard to ignore the irony when you remember that Jennifer played a hotel maid in the movie Made in Manhattan. After receiving a rightful amount of backlash, the pop star wrote on Twitter, quote, "Come on, thought you knew me better than this, would never get anyone fired over an autograph. First I heard of this was on Twitter, #hurtful."